Hello, everybody. Oops, sorry.
Whoa.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lewis Lee, and this is Playing in Traffic. And like I say every week, we do this every week, Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. So please share, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and let everybody know that we talk everything about cars, boats, whatever you put gas in, we talk about it. And tonight we are putting out a call to action. If you have anything to do with cars, if you build them, work on them, drive them, please go take a look at this bill. It's HR 1435 in the Senate. California is trying to pass a bill to it's called the Clean Air Act, and it's trying to get rid of cars, man, that run off fuel. So that's what we're doing tonight. Talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk, take questions and talk about whatever's good. What's up, Ray?
Hey, Lewis. Yeah, you're right. If it runs on gas, it's a car, motorcycle, snowblower, lawnmower. I don't care what it is. We'll talk about it. I've been known to talk about ceiling fans, and it's another case with this bill of the big, the government trying to cram stuff down our throats, take things away from us, and for some other agenda.
Yeah. Yep.
I think my personal thought is for years they all had their money in oil and in big oil, and that's where they made a fortune. Now it's shifted. They probably have their money in electric somehow, and or whatever.
Yep.
And now because they're going to protect themselves before they look after us, without a doubt.
Oh yeah. So most of our problems start out in California. So just recently, or maybe in the last year or so, I found out that the SEMA show is a big part of fighting for our rights on automotive. And so you can go to their website, SEMA.com, SEMAshow.com, and get information for this as well. But they're real big and they fight for us, in the Senate, Congress.
Yeah, I get the emails. It's SEMA SAN, SAN. I forget what that stands for. I think it's the Something Action Network.
Yeah.
And they put all this stuff out because they're big behind. Well, let's face it, it's the Special Equipment Manufacturers Association. That's what they stand for. So, their roots are in aftermarket. And if there was no aftermarket, there'd be no SEMA. So,
right. So when I was out at SEMA, I went to I'm media, so I go to some of their media events.
Right.
And one of them was how they're trying to change things where you can't work on your own cars as well.
Right.
They're really pushing to have a lot of control over us. And so we got to pay attention because this bill's coming out of California and nobody's really paying attention. So that's why I'm putting it out here as a call to action. Frank from Wrench Nation reached out to me and brought it to my attention. So he might pop on if he gets free.
Excellent. Frank's a great guy.
Yeah, Frank, he's on top of it, man. So you need to check out his channels as well. Wrench Nation. He does a podcast every Wednesday night. I think it's 7 o'clock my time, Eastern time. So he's out west, so he's a couple hours behind us.
And he does a lot with education too. There's a lot of education stuff. But this will have a trickle down because everybody will be affected. I mean, guys like Brian, you're not going to you won't have to sell tools if there's no cars to fix. They won't even sell those crappy gas cans anymore. So they're not going to make money off of that. Everything is going to be affected.
Yeah, you don't think about it, man, until it's too late. When they pass that law, that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, just pass the information around. Anybody here in the chat or listening to the replays, please check out the links I put in the comments. That'll take you to the Congress, and you can read the bill. It's like I said, it's 1435. So check it out. You know, if you have any questions or anything, ask somebody else, because I don't know too much about it.
Yeah, well, there's probably thousands of words to get down to one small point, but
Yeah.
I haven't read it myself yet. Otherwise, I'd comment. So I will read that and
Mhm.
look into it.
Yep.
But,
So let's let the fellas in and see what they're talking about. Papa Squirrel, you want in?
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
there's our buddy. It's the Matco Man,
It's
Hey.
kind of
Papa Squirrel.
it's kind of funny that we're talking about this. I was at the Lexus dealership this week, and they had a whole bunch of little guys running around out there with tape measures and blue point plans, and they're chalking up everything. And I kind of walked over and I said, "Hey, what's going on here?" "Oh, we're putting all new electric chargers in because, we won't be working on gas cars anymore."
At Toyota.
At Toyota and Lexus.
Now,
Wow.
the president, owner of Toyota, had come out publicly and said Toyota was not going to follow the trend that everybody was doing. They were going to.
Well, I know you're right on that, on the Toyota part, but the Lexus, I think Lexus, I'm not 100% sure. I was going to actually, since we started talking about this, next Tuesday, I'm going to do a little looking around, but I think that they will not have a gas car at all.
So is there separate ownership or separate corporate between Toyota and Lexus? Or
No.
No.
They're
they're
all
the
the
same.
So that kind of flies against the radar of what we've been hearing from Toyota. So I'm kind of curious about that.
So I would bet Toyota is going to do the same thing. If Lexus is going to do it, they're going to see how it works, and then they're going to do it. I bet.
Well, Toyota said they were going to follow. They were going to follow it. They weren't abandoning it, but they were going to go with caution. They weren't jumping in. They used GM as a example and said we're not jumping in like GM is. Both feet, full force. We're going to do it on our own schedule, not the way they are.
And the funny thing about that, though, when you think about it, Ray, what is the number one electric car?
Tesla.
No, it's the Prius.
Oh, Prius, yeah.
Everybody thinks that the Prius, even though it's a hybrid.
Yeah.
But when you say, "Oh, I'm thinking about buying an electric car," oh, Prius. I mean, they were so early. They were 10 years ahead of everybody else.
It was the first. But you know what? I tell you what, GM, I have the badge in the garage because it fell off of a car that I happened to pick it up on the ground. GM had an electric car back in the 90s, and they had given some people where I worked. There was a campaign. They gave people a car to drive as an experiment, and they gave it to people that ran different mileage. And there was one in my parking lot. And that was back in the late 90s.
It was the Volt, right?
No.
No. But you
Volt's
go way back. You go way back. They had electric cars. Porsche had electric car.
Well,
an 18 whatever. I mean,
you go back to the 1800s, and there were electric cars, right? And then then steam. But no, this was like in the modern era. But you're right. Prius is the one that was kind of the first mainstream. And in the trip I just took down to the Carolinas, I mean, I'm surprised, and my wife was surprised too, just how many Teslas are on the road. They're all over, but just as many Priuses. And, and I look at the Prius now on the road and say, what a little tiny, ugly piece of crap. At least elect the Tesla, the car. I don't like the bigger one, but I guess it's the 3. Isn't a bad looking vehicle for what it is. Where the Prius just looks like a roller skate with a electric motor. But you're right, it has been out for a long time.
So, but it is kind of funny with that. But and when I'm at the Ford dealership, dude, those Mach-E's and those Lightnings and all that stuff sitting around over there with unbelievable amount of software issues and them working on it. Don't get me wrong, it'd be great to have an electric car to drive around town, but we're just nowhere near ready for that. And I know that I guess they figured we just say you can't have it anymore, and we'll start to rebuild from that. And that's
Yeah.
just going to be a mess.
Well,
Yep.
I think that as they roll this out more and more, and the grid starts collapsing, that's when they'll do something. I think when the amps hit the fan and it can't be supported, that's when someone's going to wise up and say, "Oh, we got to do something about this. You got to get rid of all your TVs and air conditioners and all your electrical appliances so we can, charge your cars." Not some dopey answer like that, I'm sure.
I can't remember if it's 3 or 5, but there's a couple of electric tool trucks, running around in
Really?
I think Ohio.
Oh yeah.
I think it's Ohio or Tennessee, and I hear it's great until about 4.5 hours in.
I was going to say, how many stops to the charge do they get?
Wait, I seen a post. I think it was today or yesterday, of a Ford pulled over on the side of the road, a truck with a generator in the back with a wire coming out charging it back up, and it was somebody passing by. So it was really the truck sitting there doing that.
They had to recharge.
Yeah.
It was funny. I was talking to one of the guys at the Ford, the service manager, not the service manager, but the shop foreman. And I said something like, well, what if you don't have, the 220 or whatever the charging? And he goes, oh, you can have there's a splitter and you can do it 110.
It takes forever though.
Oh,
and I was like, really? And I said, really? And he goes, yeah, it just takes like 96 hours to charge up.
right.
Yep.
So I could drive it for 2 days and then take a week off from work because I'm sorry, boss, I can't make it in because my car's charging.
And then let's see how many guys are going to use too long of a length of too thin of a wire to charge the thing, and then overheat it. And then, of course, you're going to start seeing meltdowns and fires. And that, of course, increases the charging time, too, because you can't pass the current.
Yeah.
So
It sounds like a friend of mine. He's tried to he told me that he knew that he could hook together 3 cheap extension cords and get the same current as the regular RV cord pulled in. He did it all right. It melted the hell out of the end of the jury rigging.
He was talking about putting the cables in parallel, right? Like actually doubling, tripling the wire size, not extending them. Am I correct?
No, he was trying to double it, but the trouble is he wasn't hooking it up right.
Yeah.
It was pulling too much current through the plug-ins.
Nothing to play with.
This gets to like the conversation we were having last week with Tyler when we were talking about electricity and, simple Ohm's law. People do not understand simple Ohm's law. And that's what gets you in trouble every single. After that, the fire starts.
Yeah. Okay, wait a minute. I got a question. On my bus, I put in LED headlights, and I put in LED blinkers, and I put in LED lights on the fender. The ones that sit on the fender.
Uh-huh.
They're the turn signals and
now your flash is funny.
No.
Oh,
That's another topic. That's a good one, Brian.
Yeah. So when I have my lights off, the blinkers work. When I pull my lights on, one blinker, my left blinker does not blink. It just comes on. Boom.
All right. I'm going to think initially it's a circuit resistance issue because the flasher. Did you change the flasher?
No.
All right, that's what Brian was talking about. In all of my cars where I put LEDs, I'm not even using full LEDs. My Pontiac, I have LED taillights. My Fiat, I just have LED directionals in the front. And you have to use what's called a no-load flasher, or there's another name for it. It's an electronic flasher. It's like a load balancer that actually senses the imbalance between the incandescent and the LED and allows them to flash.
The LED is a lot lower wattage.
Infinitely. An LED only needs 0.7. I'm going to show you something that's pretty weird, but it's basically Brian, take over with the electrical.
So let me ask you this: why does it do it on one side and not the other?
Well, it could be a the way it's wired or grounded, or how the circuit flows through and so forth. I mean, there's a couple of different reasons. There's also you can hook a LED up backwards.
Yeah, you can. There's a
And
positive and negative.
You can, even though it will work, but if you have two different sizes and one, you have it hooked up backwards, you could have a problem. I mean, like I said, there's most common problem is the flasher issue because of the measuring the resistance or the load.
I think what goes on, like with a plug and play thing like that, like a resistor on a board, there's a long and a short leg, and you can put it in backwards. But I think anything that you're going to buy that's a lighting product is going to be a plug and play with a harness, and they've already encountered that. But I want to show you something. Back when I was in college the first time, we played softball, and I was an electronics major. That was my field of study. So we were all kind of science geeks, I guess, at the time. So the threshold voltage for an LED is 0.707 volts. That's what it takes to turn it on. So here was the number that I chose on my softball jersey.
Okay.
They couldn't put a point in, but yeah, that's how geeky it was. I had the threshold voltage for an LED on my softball jersey.
So
Well, I
here's
replaced most of the. I put in LED brake lights, LED running lights on the side of my truck. I don't have the LED headlights, but every place I could put an LED, I did. And I had measured my amperage before I started to put them in.
Oh, that's
And I
good.
was running almost 8 amps. When I put all the LEDs in, I was running about 2 amps.
Sure.
wow.
That's
I
the
mean,
big
that's how much
benefit. You pull a lot less current because of the
Yeah.
exactly.
Means you can sit on the side of the road with the emergency flashers on longer.
Well,
Yeah.
I remember a couple of years ago when they were pushing the LED lights for the house, and there was a commercial, I forget, maybe Sylvania, and they showed, of course they don't tell you what it's about, but they showed you like a guy going into a bedroom. He painted the room, nice bright colors, and then you see there was a crib in there, and and then the last thing he was doing was screwing in a light bulb, and he said, the tagline was like, by the time this kid graduates college, that bulb will still be burning. It was an LED, so it would just last so much longer, and it lasts longer because it draws so much less current.
Not the ones I buy.
Well, the funny
No.
part is it's like the fluorescent lights, the LED conversions. People buy them and say, well, they don't work, but they don't read the instructions where you clip the one wire off the
Balance.
balance, and you're because it's the voltage. I mean, the resistance flow or whatever. That's why it doesn't work.
Brian, you just touched on something that I tell people all the time. You said it. 3 words. People don't read. Nobody. And, car guys, the instructions get thrown. First thing, you open the box, the instructions get thrown out. I'm that guy who takes those instructions. I go and sit down and I get my glasses and I read them because, you learn a lot of good stuff and you learn stuff that maybe saves your ass from when you do it wrong, Or then you root around. Where are those damn instructions? Oh, yeah, the trash ran out already. They're gone. Yeah, now you screw.
Yep, I do the same thing. So check this out. So when I changed all the lights, at first, I was not getting. It wouldn't blink on the driver's side at all. The light wouldn't even come on. So I was like, oh, I must have a bad bulb somewhere. So I checked all my bulbs, and in the back, I had a ground that was kind of loose on one of the things. So I was like, oh, that's it. So I ran a whole new wire. I ran a single. One wire with 7 wires inside. What do you call that?
It's a multi-strand conductor. Yeah.
Yeah. So I ran that. I took all the bus wires out. I ran all new wires. Nice connectors. I put a junction box in the back. I did a pretty nice job, I think.
Yep.
So then, nothing. Still nothing. So I'm out there today playing around, and here's one of the new bulbs I bought. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's this joker wasn't working.
Uh-huh.
The new one I put in. So I put the old one back in and it starts blinking.
Okay. We don't have Isaac or we don't have Justin with us. So, Lewis, here's the test. Do you remember what new means? This is a Motormouth Radio staple. Brian, you want to tell him?
Ready?
Yeah.
Never ever worked.
Never ever worked. Just because it's new, boo, dude, don't mean it's gonna work.
Well, at
You
least
want-
I got one side to work with the new bulb, but
Right.
You want to hear something? When we were redoing the master bedroom bath,
Uh-huh.
we had gutted it out and we did everything in there. And for the longest time, we call it the viewing room because it had a little window. Like if you ever been in the Washington Monument, it's just a little window to look out, And we would call it the viewing room because you stand up there and look. And I get it all done and ran all new electricity, wires, outlets, put GFI in, the whole 9 yards, right? And I came up about that short, hooking it up to the fuse box, for power. And of course, like everything else in my project, we
Perfect.
sat without electricity in the bathroom, And so finally one day the wife goes, "Will you please get electricity in the bathroom? I'm tired of the extension cords. We got to get this done." So I go up there and I come down and, I found some wire and had a junction box and got it all put in, got it all done and flipped the switch, had the lights, but the plugs didn't work. And so luckily, I've learned before you start tearing everything apart just to go over.
test it.
And it was one of the new GFI plugs
Yeah.
were bad.
There's another thing I learned. There was a co-host
Brand
on
new things can be bad.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, there was a co-host on my show when I came in, Mike Timmons. He was he was an Air Force vet, worked on planes, and he was a motorcycle mechanic. And his tagline, the other one that we follow, there's three of them really that are the biggies, and new is one of them. The other one was Mikey T's line was, "What was the last thing you touched?" Because 9 out of 10 times, you guys are nodding your heads. 9 out of 10 times, you could pull a whole damn thing apart and find out, damn, it was that last thing I put in, and that's where the problem is.
Well, that's what made me think. I was like, it was working before I changed these bulbs. So I was like, let me go back and check and see if this bulb's
See,
bad.
that's good logic. That's good logic. You didn't just tear the whole thing apart and say what's wrong. Like, okay, what was done last? It's like having when you have a backup on your computer or something, let's say, and something goes wrong, you can go back to the last backup right before the problem happened and then be back to where you were. And then you could, you figure out what you did wrong. So yeah, that's part of the diagnostic process is definitely.
Yeah. I had a shop last week. They had I don't know if it was a Dodge van, a van, but they had, it was a 3.6. They had to take the plenum off to get the spark plugs on the back. And of course they get it all back together and it's got a high idle. It's screaming at like 3,000 RPMs. And the guy, they're messing around. Of course, I will give them a little bit of leeway because everything else was broken on the car. The car wasn't in the best of shape, but there was other vacuum lines broken and so forth like that.
Uh-huh.
But they had this thing, and of course I walked in and he goes, "Hey, Mr. Brian, what do you think?" And I said, "Well, first of all, where's your smoke machine?"
Right.
And I said, "Are you sure you got the gasket on there?" "Right. Yeah. And I said, "What was the last thing you touched?" And by this time, the guy's lost his mind and he's ripping everything apart on the car.
That's it.
He's putting stuff in. It doesn't even make sense anymore. We'll put a coil pack in and we'll put a throttle body in and he's throwing stuff at it and they're digging stuff around in the shop to put on it.
We also we just excuse me for a second. We call that firing the parts cannon at it.
Yeah.
That.
I get in there today and I said, "Hey, what was wrong with that car from last week?" Oh, the gasket was at.
20-cent part. The stupid 20-cent part.
And I was like, from the Planum, right? And he goes, yeah. And I said, well, I said, dude, it's, if it worked fine when it came in, I mean, you should have seen, I mean, the plugs they had pulled out of this car were like nubs. I mean, there wasn't even I don't even know how the thing ran because, I mean, it had an air gap about 4.5 inches, in there.
What kind of car was that, Brian? What kind of car?
It was I think it was a van of some sort, but it was like a 3800 or a 3.6. They had the Planum. I think it was a Chrysler. Where the the Planum of the manifold, hanged over the last 3 banks. You got to take that off.
When you do that on a Ford, Ford recommends those screws are one use only. That they sell a kit of the screws and the gasket, and you replace them because if they break, you're screwed. I was going to say when I got my FJ, I was working on it and I want to just check it out. I said, let me tune it up. So 6 spark plugs, 3 are easy. The other 3, you got to take some brackets off. I swear those 3 were original.
Yeah.
Now I think the plug gap is like 40 or 45 thousandths. I got pictures of this too. Those 3 plugs, the gap was like 85 thousandths.
Wow.
And I said, this thing fired right up. It ran. It didn't hesitate.
The
I
car
put the new
adjusted
plugs
to it.
in, and it started right up. And I took off. It was almost like, I hit the gas. I went, whoa. It kind of jumped a little. I was like, wow, this is nice. So it's amazing. New cars run like that until they just die.
Yeah.
They fail. So
It's the damn computer. It keeps adjusting
it
everything
does.
to try to make it work.
Papa Scroll, you're right, but there's a limit, and the parameters of the computer only go so far, and then that says,
and that's when you get the check engine light. I mean, like the most typical, I love this to this day is that, I walk in, sell a guy a scanner, and then next week he's giving the scanner back to me, and I'm like, well, what's wrong? And he goes, well, it told me the wrong thing.
It told me the wrong thing.
And I was like, well, what do you mean it told you the wrong thing? He goes, well, it told me it was a bad O2 sensor, and I replaced the O2 sensor, and I still have the same problem.
Right.
And I'm like, well, what was the readings? Because it was pulling it out of specs one way or the other, and that's what turned that light on. And then was it running lean or was it running rich or whatever?
When he figures out how to do that, he realizes he has a bad cat or unmetered air in the system or something that whacks.
Or a bad injector dumping so much gas down in the system or whatever. But again, I always like that. That's the misperception of, well, I buy this scanner and it told me what's wrong with the car. There's still, you got to be able to diagnose the car.
I'm pissed off. I got letters in to Snap-on, SK, Matco, Icon, Craftsman, every tool I have, because I open the drawer and those damn wrenches won't jump out and take the freaking nuts off for me. I got to go in there and do it myself. And I'm pissed.
Yeah. You're upset all your ratchets ran dead because you left them on instead
I left them on the arm position. Yeah. So let me
Our
ask you
mechanic, the guy I call our mechanic, he said the biggest problem he has is hiring people who know how to troubleshoot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If the scanner don't tell them, they don't know what to do.
Right.
And he said it's so frustrating to have people that depend on that scanner and don't know how to look at what else is causing the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
No critical thinking.
Yes.
So, Brian, the guy, the shop that had that bad plenum gasket, was he an old school mechanic by any stretch of the imagination?
Yeah, well, like I said, he was actually, he had his helper was doing the work, or had been working on it, and it just, I understand, of course, when you have something that has 1 million miles on it and this hose is broken and this is not right. But again, we lose our thought that it wasn't like, it ran before.
Mm-hmm.
Ran one part.
This is what we took off. So let's
Yeah.
look at this, you know, instead of just start throwing stuff at it.
I mean, my question is, why didn't he walk over there with a can of carburetor cleaner and just start, you know, spraying it down, find that leak, you know? I mean, that's old school.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Or
And-
light the cigar and blow some, the old school smoke machine. Blow
Yeah.
some smoke
Yeah,
at
the
it.
old-
That would have worked too.
I got to do
Uh,
that to the caddy. I got some leaks somewhere, and when I get it pulled around here, I'm gonna do the same thing. Throw some smoke to it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you got to go
So-
across the street to the boys across the street and get yourself a special fire stick, and
Yeah,
so you forget.
I
all
won't
about,
get that done. I'll be under the car.
right. You forget all about the problem by the time you're done.
Yeah, again, like I said, I know that sometimes, that's why I like what I do, and that you're a different set of eyes, or you're not frustrated. I mean,
Yeah.
this guy's probably got the phone ringing all day, people coming in, you're trying to get this car out by a certain time, and
Yeah,
the panic steps in, but I always think it's kind of, I really don't want to use the word comical, but it's comical because you let it get the best of you instead of just stopping and taking a deep breath and saying, okay, this doesn't make sense. How can he didn't go this far? I'm just putting it, but why put an alternator on it? Because that's not, I always like that when they say, "Oh, my car didn't start, so I put an alternator on it."
Alternator battery. It goes in the shop on the hook. It's got a new alternator, new battery, new starter.
yeah. Ready to go now.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
So-
the thing. I learned a long time ago. Sometimes you got to know when to just put the tools down, walk away, sit down. Case in point, last Saturday I was working on the Volvo in the shop, and
Mhm.
I wanted to check all the brakes.
Tell him
I happen to
now.
be in the rear of the car, and I'm trying to take the rear caliper off. So you pull the slide pins, right, and you take the caliper off. Well, the top slide pin you could get out. It was a little troublesome. It was a 7mm Allen, but the bottom one, you couldn't get the Allen driver in and a ratchet on it because there was a control arm and the spring right there. So, and even a real stubby Allen wouldn't have worked. There was no way to maneuver in there. And I was like, what the hell? How could they make this so hard? Like, what tool don't I have? I was going to call you, Brian. I was actually going to call you and ask you. So what I did is I sat down and I fired up YouTube University, and I went to 1A Auto. Has a lot of good do-it-yourself videos, and they showed that on the Volvos, the way you take the caliper off is you take the caliper bracket off with the caliper, and then you split it. I'm like, how asinine is that? I mean, you only take the bracket off if you have to change the rotor, but now you have to take the bracket off to get the caliper off, and then split the caliper off the bracket, and then it's like, oh, that was ridiculous. And I felt like an idiot for not figuring that one out. But I said to myself, it didn't make sense to me because every other car I've ever worked on isn't that way.
Yeah.
But now at least I didn't break anything, so I didn't get pissed. I just, I went and I looked into it. So
you did pull the trigger on the Volvo?
yeah, we're taking the Volvo for my daughter now. I got to, but now I got to go take the wheels off again because I was going to order brakes, and there's like a 316 or 328mm rotor. The hell did I write that down? I got notes all over the place. Yeah, the rotors are in specs. I measured them. But there's two different sizes of rotors. I don't even know. Oh yeah, no, not that. I don't even know where I wrote it. I wrote it somewhere, but yeah.
So let me tell you guys about my experience going to get my lock fixed in my truck.
Oh,
right.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was last week's saga. Sure.
So I called Friday. They didn't call me back. So I went in. I had left my car up there Thursday when I picked the truck up. So it was still there Monday. So I went up. I said, hey, I called. I locked myself out of the truck because the mechanic forgot to shut the hood, and it was about to pop up down the street here. So I get out of the truck, shut the hood, try to get back in. The door is unlocked, but the handle wasn't hooked up.
Oh God!
So my wife comes, lets me in, and I take it back Monday. So I'm telling him all this. So he goes, oh, okay, we'll go take care of it right now. Pull it in. So we pull it in. And the mechanic is like, oh, it's going to be a long time because I have other stuff to do. And I was like, no, you don't. You're going to fix my door because you had me stuck out here on the road in the middle of traffic because you didn't put my handle back together.
Right.
So I was like, we're going to have some problems in here if I don't get my truck fixed. So all the guys like, oh no, we got you. So he fixes it. So I go down the street and I look, and the knob is not sticking through the hole.
Oh,
Right. So it's down in the door. So I'm like, oh. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go back tomorrow. Then so I go to fix my mirror. He didn't hook my power mirror switch back up.
Now-
So now I blew a gasket.
now you have a friend at this dealership, right?
Yeah.
What position does that guy have?
He's the head. He's one of the head guys. Like he's been there for 30 years.
In the service,
So-
more like a service manager, service.
No. He's not the finance manager, but he runs like the dealership. I don't know. He's like the big
Wow.
dog. So I go in there and I ask for him. They're like, "Oh, he quit."
Oh,
So
and
I
he
was like,
scratched your name off the list of good customers.
yeah. He's like,
You're wanted dead or alive in that place. You're like, oh, you're so and so's friend. Oh yeah.
yeah.
So-
So
Area.
so
You keep
I
that up, Lewis. You're going to get a catfish in the bottom of that door.
yeah, right.
Summer day, you're going to be smelling something.
So now I got to act right because I have nothing leaning back
backup.
on.
Right.
So I go back in. And the guy's like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Well, first my lock is down in the hole, and my mirror didn't hook my mirror back up."
Close it.
I gotta go. There's steak on the table.
Ah,
Damn, we're
hey,
coming.
hey,
I'll
I'll be
be right there, Papa Squirrel.
all right.
We got
You
enough for
gotta go.
everybody.
He didn't even
Go,
say
go,
that's it.
Right.
Adios.
Wow.
He was like, "I'm out of here."
I'm out of here.
So did they fix it, Lewis?
Yeah. So I go back in. I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna go sit in the lounge and watch Oprah."
Yeah.
And when she goes off, my truck better be rolling. Man, they had it done real quick because man, I couldn't even be mad no more. You know what I mean? I was just like, "Look, man, just fix my truck."
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's all good now. I was like, I'm tired of climbing through the window, man. Yeah, I
Yeah. Right.
had to open the passenger door, reach in, start the truck, and then reach over and push my window down so I could go around the truck to get in the truck.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That gets old real quick.
Oh, dealing nightmares, I tell you.
And the thing that just drives me absolutely crazy, and I know like I said, we all make mistakes and we all have our issues and we have our moments. But there are as minor as it seems, there should be somebody before that car goes, just giving it a
Mhm.
look over. And of course, back in my days at the dealership, they were so the manufacturer was really hard on us because we had to score high. You had to have high scores,
Mhm.
and you got some benefits out of it. You had your CSI, your customer satisfaction ratings, and that was big. They did away. Through over the time that's we've lost that to the customer, and like I said, it's funny when you go in and talk and they say, we don't have any repeat customers. And I said, well, just think about how you treat them, because like a lot of people, I'm the same way, dude. I can have an issue. I just want to pay and go and move on to the next place. I might want to give you, after giving you 2 or 3 chances and you can't
Right.
fix it and you want to treat me like dog crap,
Right.
you just move on, and they wonder why they don't have the repeating customers.
Well, here's my
And-
thought too. Like the mechanic, he wasn't the guy that brought the truck out to me.
Yeah.
So I'm out in the parking lot, and the guy comes around, and he opens the door, and I get in. So how did he get in the truck?
Yeah.
You know what I
Well, he probably, it was probably the door was the mechanic says, here, give it back to the SOB, and the guy got in the truck and drove off
You didn't
because he was
close the
standing
door.
there. He
Yeah.
didn't even close the door.
Yeah, I'm like, how did that guy get in the truck, and I got to climb through the other side?
Right.
Yeah. Well, you're difficult, Lewis. You're
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah. Well, no, they didn't see me difficult. I was pretty calm, really. I was
Yeah.
surprised. I was surprised myself because I'm usually like an idiot.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's just it's a that's like on the wife's on Jenny's excursion, we had a problem with the temp sensor in the transmission, and I had talked to the guys at the dealership, and I said, hey, look, 30 seconds down the road, the temp sensor buries, and then the truck goes into a limp mode where you can only go so fast because it does, it's thinking it has a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And the transmission guy goes, oh yeah, it's just a temp sensor. Get it, bring it on up here, and we'll, it's underneath the valve body, and I'll get it straightened out for you. Just tell them up front. I said, okay, no problem. So I go up front and I said, hey, I want to bring the wife's truck up here. And Tom, told me most likely it's the temp sensor. And he said, no problem. So we dropped it off. And of course, the next Monday, because we did it over the weekend, that Monday I go in there. So I go in there and Tom's working on the truck and he's almost done. And he goes, go on up front and see what they're going to do. So I walk up and he goes, oh, yeah, because I was just getting ready to call you. Well, with the mileage on your vehicle, you need a coolant flush, a brake flush, a transmission service, and and I said, whoa, hold on, cowboy. I said, what about the initial problem? And I already knew because I talked to Tom, but he's like, oh, well, I was just getting ready with the other stuff. I haven't heard anything. And I was like, so if I need a transmission, if I said, go ahead and do this, and then he tells me I need a transmission, I already have, $4,000 worth of snake oil stuff done.
Right.
And he's like, oh, well, I said, dude, and you wonder why you don't have people coming back.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What's the problem on the car? Well, the transmission issue. Well, and then let's take care of the transmission, and then you can try to upsell me on the other stuff.
Right.
But the bottom line is that guy up front's getting a spiff on his snake oil.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And, again, it's just if they just go back to the littlest things, make the biggest difference.
When I went back in there Monday, I was like, hey, this is wrong with my truck. And the guy next to him says, do you have an appointment? And I had to step back for a minute and not say anything. I was like, I came back. No, I don't have an appointment. It's not my problem. It's your problem. Didn't fix my truck right.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, yeah, you're right.
Right. This is a comeback. This isn't a new job.
Oh, my goodness, dude. And people really try to get me upset. Look, you guys know I get upset maybe once a year. I have a rant about once a year, right?
Yeah.
But this year, I'm doing pretty good. I didn't blow a gasket.
And of course, again, it's I understand that, it's almost like talking to that customer service guy from General Electric or with your Verizon box or whatever, because they have a script.
Yeah.
And again, they just get in this mindset. Like, you don't have an appointment? Well, you got to have an appointment. You're like, dude, I've been here 3 times trying to get my car fixed, and I paid you.
Right.
So
I'm like, you might want to call your doctor and get an appointment because you're going to be coming real soon.
Yeah.
I can't believe I haven't went to jail yet because, man, I'd be acting up.
I'm close to that on a certain issue I've been dealing with too, and I dealt with it again today, and I just ended up laughing. And I said, you stonewall me on this thing, that I decide to give you what you want begrudgingly, but I need something else. And then you tell me, well, I can't do that because I had to do the first thing, which is what you mandated in the first. It's like, do you realize how stupid this is?
Yeah.
And Lay's like, well, I really don't know. I'm like, all right, just goodbye. Just don't put yourself in front of me because it's going to be ugly.
Oh, wait, I got another story. I got a good one.
Oh,
ready
good,
for this
good.
one? Did I tell you guys I put the digital lock on my bus with the fingerprint?
You said you had bought it. Yeah.
Okay, I bought it and I put it in. I did a video. I'm in the shop, right? I'm like putting all my tools in. I'm going to work on the bus. I was like, yeah, guys, I'm making a video, right? I was like, yeah, I'm going out and work on the bus, and let me show you my new lock. So I go out there, put my finger on it, nothing. Put my finger on it, nothing. I'm like, I'm still recording, right? I'm like, I can't get in the bus. I was like,
Yeah.
I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
So it was raining, and it wouldn't work. The fingerprint thing wouldn't work. And then on the front of it, let me show you right here. I took it out already.
Oh man.
So the front part of it here, this lights up.
Yeah.
And then, you punch in your code. And then there's the fingerprint thing. Nothing was working. And so I call a guy, and he's from India or somewhere. I don't know where he's from. So he tells me, did you wipe the fingerprint thing off? I was like, yeah, I wiped it off, but it was raining. He goes, oh, well, I don't know. You got to wipe it off or wait for it to stop raining. I'm like, bro, listen, this is my house lock.
Yeah.
If it's raining outside, what, I got to stand out in the rain until it stops raining?
Right.
I was like, that defeats the purpose of this type of lock. I was like, I bought it so I can get in fast.
Exactly.
Right? So he's going back and forth. And like you said, he's reading off a script.
Yep.
And I was like, listen, man. I was like, this is for my YouTube channel. And I'm going to do a whole video. I'm going to do a half-hour video on your company about this lock. You know what I mean? And what you're telling me that I can't get in there without. Then he said, well, use your phone. I was like, well, I'm not going to pull my phone out in the rain.
Yeah.
I was like, and that defeats the purpose. I was like, what if my phone is in the house and my keys are in the house and I was dependent on getting in with the fingerprint thing? I would have been hit.
And you should have said to him, and by the way, what's your name? And then you would have heard click.
So I'm going to do a whole video on busting out Schoolie about this stupid lock. You see it's out already.
Well, yeah. Good luck, because I'll tell you this. Dina Parisi has been fighting with Instagram for a couple of years now about stuff, and she keeps calling them out, and she knows how to hit it on social media. And I think her answer was she just finally opened up a new channel. She's like, I can't get an answer out of these people. They just,
It's crazy.
yeah.
There's no common courtesy anymore.
No.
It's gone.
So that new channel is that new one that is hers.
Yes, she keeps putting up to please follow her. It's Dina Parisi 181 or something. I forget what it is, like 3
Yeah,
numbers.
no, I saw that, and I usually stay away from that because it's usually like it's been somebody stole or
Oh, like hacked her, yeah.
hacked it, and that's why. Because I think she sent me or it said it started following you, and then she had put on there like follow me at this new blah blah blah, and
Right.
I was like, I was getting ready to do. Well, who are you?
Yeah.
She just did a
I just
video.
I just
go
don't
ahead.
have the whole New Yorker accent down pat to really get into her face. I don't want to get cleaned up from her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. She do it too.
She just did a video about products. Somebody wanted her to do a product, and they wanted her to lie
Ah,
about the product. She was like, "I'm not lying."
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I'll have to follow her. But I was getting ready to, like, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
I tell you, man, it's rough out here in the world.
It is.
Pimping ain't easy, I tell you.
No,
No.
certainly not these days. It was easier in the old days.
Yeah.
What's up, Isaac? Kind of quiet.
Yeah, Isaac, what's going on?
Not much. How you guys doing?
Good. Now I don't have to climb through the window of my truck.
Yeah.
Just trying to muddle my way through another week, man. I hope this month has started out super slow. I hope it cranks it up at the end because
Yeah.
I don't know how these places are doing it.
Yeah, it's bad, man.
Yeah,
Everything.
I'm on my
is-
last.
Go ahead.
I'm on my last week off before baseball starts, and my wife's got the week off, so we've been in the backyard like that.
Out there raking your rock garden.
No, he's probably shoveling snow.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, they got
No
some
more
snow.
snow.
it's all gone, huh? Well, believe me, I was pretty happy that the West
Yeah.
Coast got snow.
Yeah, me too. And now, just like normal, now the snow melts, and what happens? The ground's so hard it can't absorb the water, so they get flooding and mudslides.
Yeah.
Welcome to California,
Yeah, that's,
But they're gonna
that's
dictate-
California.
our automotive future.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it washes some of those people out.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, so I'm moving along on the bus, getting the wire, and as soon as I got the first strips up, that's where you hang all your walls and ceiling on.
Right.
Got that in, so now I'm just running the electric for all electric plugs and all that stuff. So once I get that done, I got a couple windows that I just threw in real fast, so I got to go back in and put the seal stuff in and put them in right. And
Are you running Romex for your wiring?
yeah, I did. I used marine grade 12 what is it called?
12.3?
Yeah,
I've
12.3
never
and
used-
12.2.
What's the difference in marine grade? I've never used it.
It's the individual strands inside the wire. It's not a solid copper.
Oh, it's stranded wire.
Yeah,
It's stranded. Yeah, it's stranded.
So
And it's-
why does that make that marine grade?
because for the water, it's in a better casing, and anything that moves around, like if it was solid copper, it could break or you know what I mean? As
It's
it
more
moves in.
flexible.
Flex, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why in vehicles you don't see it.
Right.
You don't see the solid.
No, you don't see solid in the vehicle, but you do see solid in the house because the house
Yeah, they
usually,
move.
It's not,
doesn't
usually
move.
not moving. Is that
Usually.
what color is the outside of that casing? Because it's like
Unless you're
yeah.
in California.
like-
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. What's the outside casing color?
It's
Lou?
white.
is it
It is
white?
white. Is it marked a certain way
I
to denote that it's marine grade?
don't know. Wait a minute.
It probably has some kind of marking on it.
It's got to have, because I know I had white and there's yellow, and I can't remember what the difference is.
I remember
On-
seeing yellow. Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought the marine stuff was a different color, or it was a way to know that what it
It's
was.
like an off white, but I don't have it here. It's in the bus.
Yeah.
It had a big roll. I bought about 2 big rolls, 200 feet each. I
What
got
that cost you?
oh man, it was
Yeah.
like 190 a roll.
It used to
Wow.
be cheap.
Yeah, everything's high, man. I mean everything, because I had a list of a lot of stuff in my notes on my phone, and so when I went back to buy it, I had the prices too.
Oh,
And I'm telling you, man, everything's doubled and tripled.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The only thing that's coming down is the wood starting to come back down. But
that's-
everything else. Yep.
Yeah. I got I wanna insulate the garage here.
Mhm.
Because it's just got drywall, but there's no insulation between the garage and I have my living room and kitchens over house. My garage is under the house, and I of course I spoke too soon, but I was like, I like to insulate that, and whatever. And it was like, yeah, let's do that project. And it was like, I went to go price everything, and I'm like, holy crap, the
Yeah.
cost. And I've waited a little bit, and it has come down a little bit, and I'm
Mhm.
just, it's amazing.
It's hard
You know what?
hard to do it, hard to pay it.
It's a lot cheaper to go buy another sweater or sweatshirt or something and a pair of gloves.
Yeah.
You probably got
Well,
them on the
actually, I don't have the problem. I mean,
truck. Oh yeah,
I don't have the problem. It's just
right.
but a lot of it was I know that the back wall, well, really even the sidewall here, because I pulled down some of the sheetrock. I mean, there's no insulation, so I mean it's up against the stone
yeah,
from the
yeah.
house, and I like I said, I was one of the first things I did in this garage was I have it heated and air conditioned,
Right.
and it's, you know, like I said, I'm quite
Not-
comfortable in it, but
Not
I do
efficient,
know
though.
that it would help. You know,
Now, are you
if I
gonna
do-
blow that stuff in, or are you gonna do spray foam?
No, I'm just I want to use what I did the attic with, and it was just you know, rolled insulation. It was
Mhm.
R14 or R13,
Mhm.
and it was real easy to work with. Just staple it in, and I'll probably do. I'm not going to put sheetrock back up, but I probably, like I did when I I built the wall where one of my garage doors used to be. I'll just probably heavy plastic, and I have cabinets on the wall now. I mean, like I said, it's not even worth putting sheetrock up because there's only about that much sheetrock you would see between the counter and the bottom of the thing. So
Oh yeah.
it's, you know, if I had to put a piece of sheetrock in, it's only going to have to be 16 inches or whatever.
Yeah.
That makes
If I,
sense.
and like I said, being in the garage, I don't mind. And I have low ceiling. I mean, I have a low ceiling, and the reason why I want to do that and take the sheetrock down because I want to put the lights in the rafters to give me a
Mhm.
little bit of more headroom. Because, like I said, you can see how. I mean,
You're right
I
there.
literally I'm about 5 inches from touching the ceiling. You
Mm.
know, if I'm sitting down, so it's a low with the lights.
I put the foam insulation in here. You know, the foam board.
Yeah,
It ain't too bad. I have to still do spray foam in the, you know, like in the cracks,
yeah,
but it does pretty good.
yeah. I did the foam board in the garage doors.
Hmm.
That's what I on the garage door. I did the foam board inside there, but you know, again, you know, I'm still focused on trying not to get unfocused on and do too many things at one time.
Right.
Yeah. Ain't hard to do.
Yeah, I know. Well, you start going in different directions. I got it was crappy last weekend, so I didn't really get to work on the Audi. I did get it up, all four wheels up off the ground, and I had to lay well, I don't know what what are those things, like 2x6s. It's the pallets that our toolbox comes on. They're pretty heavy. I mean, it's hard wood. I wanted to try to get the car up onto the concrete pad, but I don't have any manpower. I don't have enough manpower to move it.
Yeah.
The ground's so soft.
Couldn't pull it with the tool truck.
Well, I can't get in the backyard with a tool truck.
Okay.
The stockade fence all the way around is not big enough for me to get the tool truck in. So, but I laid the pallet. I mean, not the pallet, but I stripped the pallets. I break the pallets down. So there were like I guess they're 2x6s, and I laid those out and put the jack stands on that and have it. So it looks like a super Audi now. It's kind of flying through the air.
So what's the plan of attack for that car? What's the ultimate goal? What's the end in sight?
Well, the end goal, or the goal for that will be my driver. I mean,
Okay.
I'm gonna get it. If it starts up, I mean, I had it sputtering, and I got to put the fuel pump in. Where did the fuel pump go? I had a fuel pump. I got a single down there, but the pump doesn't run. And you know, like I said, it turns over, it sputtered, it wanted to start, it just didn't have any fuel.
Right.
And if it gets started up and it runs, I talked to a buddy of mine that has a shop, and he's got an end lift, you know, for projects. I'll take it over there, and then I'll put the clutch in it. And
Okay.
that's why I stopped driving, because it needed a clutch.
So you're gonna do a complete R&R on the brakes, I guess, too, right?
Oh yeah.
You're
I've
gonna
got-
rebuild or reuse or replace the calipers.
well, believe it or not, I have
believe
a
it.
set. I have a set of 944 turbo Porsche brakes,
Oh,
and I already looked on eBay and found the bracket to switch that over. I think the
Nice.
bracket, so that I can use the original spindles.
I wish I could find a brake conversion for my Fiat.
And actually, this place, I don't know, they had a lot of crazy stuff. And I'll have to, when I find it, maybe contact them and see, because
Sure.
it's actually, well, with the, the Audi stuff bolts this way, but the Porsche stuff bolts down. So it's just like a little bracket that you bolt on, so the bolts will go down,
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of that stuff laying around.
Oh, the rotor size is different. Sure.
Yeah, but I have rotors. I mean, this was a long time ago. I had that conversion, or I had that idea. So I was gathering. I had a really good customer of mine. He was his dad was the head mechanic for some prince in some foreign country, and Sonny was a kid that hung out in the palace garage working on all kinds of exotic stuff. And he came over here, and he I think he only opened his own shop up to work on his own stuff, because he had all kinds of crazy swap things, and he gave me a lot of stuff that because he was a Audi 4000 guy also, or a Quattro guy.
So what about the wheel size?
Well, I have adapters from 4-lug to 5-lug, and I'm putting Porsche phone dials on.
Yeah. What I was thinking
So
about
it's
was I was actually
15-inch
thinking about the diameter to clear the calipers. What I was thinking. Hey, Terry.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I'm going to the 15-inch
Right,
wheels,
okay.
from 14 to 15.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, like I said, it needs tires. So
Yeah.
I'll go buy, like I said, for the phone dials, I have adapters, and like I said, but the main thing is, if it starts up and runs,
just to keep us old guys appeased, I'd like to see you paint numbers on each of those holes. Like a real phone dial. Terry, is that a new cat or just a different cat? I haven't seen that guy before.
No, that's one of the come here.
We've seen the orange one.
Yeah, the orange one, that's the one that usually shows up, but that's his brother. They're from the same litter.
Oh,
They're from the same litter.
cool.
Well, you're a real man taking 2 cats at once.
We've had
I love
two in the house
that's my
before.
animal. Cats are my animal. I love animals. I
We
love
actually
cats.
had
We got
3 at one time.
yeah. And at the garage shop, there's a cat over there. That's Jasper. And then we just picked up a dog.
Nice.
Because my son, like I said, when he's a little older, we'll get a dog, and he's like 8 now. So, I was looking at it like, well, if you get 10 years out the dog, he'll be 18, he'll have friends. So it's not like he'll be, if the dog goes, he's not going to be moping around the house at like 15, 18, he'll have like, maybe hopefully a girlfriend at the time, and it'll take his mind off things,
I kind of follow your reasoning, but I have to say, being a pet owner for many years and having kids too, there's never a good time. It's never.
No.
I mean, it never. I mean, if it hits you, it's hitting you. I don't care if you're a full blown adult, man. I've cried like a baby over losing some of our pets.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't try to rationalize it that far. Just if you can do it, do it. But
No, that's what I'm saying. And plus, he's able to walk the dog and all that. But like I said, the way I look at it is like, like he'll have more things occupying his mind at like 18, 19 than he would at
What type of dog, Terry?
We just did a DNA test. It was a rescue. Come to find out that dog they said it's like 58% German Shepherd, 30-something% Husky, and like 8%, the remainder would be Dutch Shepherd.
Wow.
that's a pretty
He's
good
big
mix.
dog. Yeah.
It's a beautiful dog. She's upstairs with him sleep.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful
good
dog.
mix.
Next time, I'll make her stay up late.
Yeah, I can't believe you saw where the Labrador lost his title after 3 or 4 years of number one
Yeah.
pet dog.
Saw
And
that. Yeah.
Yeah, the French
And on that-
Bulldog took over.
The other thing on that list, the Yorkie was always on that list, and now it's not even in the top 10 anymore.
Yeah.
Was that for
surprised.
favorite dogs?
Huh?
Favorite dog list?
Yeah, it was like the top 10 dogs.
Top 10 dogs
10
or
breeds.
pet dogs, and the French Bulldog. The Labrador's always been, up
Always
there
been
on
up
one, and Goldens have always been up there between 2 and 3. And this year, everybody had to take a step down for this stub nosed little French dog.
I know the poodles up there. My friend Rick has a Labradoodle,
Yeah,
which is what a cool dog. It's big, it's really fluffy, and it's just so friendly. This dog doesn't even bark. I mean, it's just so friendly and lovable and just, cuddly, but big. It's a cool
Big.
dog, cool mix. We had a Yorkie.
I'm a German
We had
Shepherd
Yorkie
dog
for a
guy.
long time.
I like the big ears.
Yeah.
My son has a German Shepherd. Is a police dog. Is a rescue. Man, that thing is beautiful. All black. He's a nice looking dog.
Nice.
yep.
He's a police dog. He's friendly.
Yeah.
We
Yeah, nice
the
dog.
guy I used to work with, that's what his guard, the dogs that ran the lot at night, they were all ex-police dogs. And Sinbad, he was one badass dog, dude. I tell you, that dog, I had to go in. Little guy like me going in there feeding that dog was like looking twice, like, dude, stay over there.
Yeah. Just eat. Keep eating. Keep eating.
I have
And somebody broke in and laced the dogs and stole the tow truck. And after that dog was never right again, dude.
Yeah.
Boy, I tell you, that dog. But it was Sinbad was a badass German Shepherd, though.
I have a German Shepherd, Pit Bull, and then we have a German Shepherd Husky mix. And then
Wow.
my daughter's got a little half poodle something.
Poodle something.
But that dog's such a pain in the ass. But the regular German Shepherd, we named it Axel for Axel Foley.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, I heard today Monk is coming back on a movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
All
yeah?
original cast. Yeah.
A movie.
wow.
Yep.
Huh.
I like Tony Shalhoub.
That was my show, boy.
Everyone loved Monk. I couldn't get into it.
I never
could,
really
yeah.
watched it. It's on Me TV every day. They
Oh,
do
man.
Monk and Bones. They do like 3 hours of each.
Yeah.
I loved it because he was so awkward, but he was so smart. He had figured out.
From what
Like
I
Columbo.
now what they do is they play these little shorts of his, and it it's interesting, but kind of reminds me of like who's that English
Columbo.
dude? That it was always
Oh, what was that guy?
driving that stupid little car. He was always like,
Mr. Bean.
yeah, Mr. Bean. Kind of
Mr.
reminds
Bean.
me of a Mr. Bean, but because he looks kind of haphazard, but I guess he gets the job done.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Columbo.
Columbo.
I love Columbo, man.
But see, the thing is with Monk, he had a whole bunch of what do you call it? Quirks.
Wasn't he a germaphobe?
Germaphobe. He had all kinds of stuff.
He had all
But
kinds of
hey,
stuff.
speaking of classic TV stuff, I can't believe Beretta died.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Robert Blake, right?
Robert Blake died last week.
I thought he was. I didn't realize he was still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that the other day. Yeah. Was it
Yeah,
yesterday he passed? Or the day
No,
before?
it was
Days
one day.
ago.
I was one day last week, I think.
Like early last
Yeah,
week
yeah.
sometime.
Right.
you know
so
who
that's
else
right, buddy
passed? The
Kevin
guy
on
who's-
Friday. It was before that.
Oh, Ray, what's the guy's name? Bobby Caldwell.
Bobby Caldwell.
Yeah, he's
The
a
jazz
musician.
guy.
Yeah.
The jazz
What
guy,
you
right?
gon'
Was he jazz?
do?
Oh,
Do
for,
for love.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
he
saw,
passed
I saw the
yesterday.
reference to the song. Right.
Yeah,
oh wow.
Yeah.
I know.
that broke me up. I was like, oh man.
That was
Hey, Ray.
Yo.
Quick question. Did you talk to the spoiler guy, Randy?
Okay, Randy. I was just about. I meant to talk to you about this, but I haven't seen you. It's about 2 weeks ago now. I finally found a guy that was going to ship out that bumper, and then Randy sends an email saying, "Hey, guess what? I got the bumper made now for the 65 GTO, and I'd like to, now if you want one, it's $350 and send money here." I'm like, ah, damn it. So
No.
I took the bumper, I threw it back by the shed, and I'm like, okay, so much for that idea.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not your fault.
No, I thought it was
Yeah,
gonna
we
work
could
out. I
talk
thought you
to
were gonna get that free spoiler.
I thought so too. You know what? If you talk to him, maybe he'll give me a deal on one.
I'll definitely talk to him.
Yeah. I thought it looked good on the car too. I thought it looked pretty cool.
I think they look awesome. I mean, like it just changed the whole look of that Chevelle.
Yes. I love the work you're doing, Terry. You're doing some really cool custom stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
Nice.
appreciate it.
Very nice work.
I was gonna step it up and I was gonna tuck the ends in,
Yeah.
so it'd before, but I was like, nah, that makes it look too. You know what I'm saying? I kind of want it to look somewhat,
It's a subtle. That's a real subtle difference
I
that
was gonna say that.
it's one of the things you see without knowing you're seeing it.
Mm.
Yeah, you're like something's different, but I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey Terry, we had the Ring Brothers on. We had Mike from the Ring Brothers on.
Yeah, I missed that one. I know.
Listen, and I was putting up his cars, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we cut it here. We did this and this." And it was like, "Oh wow!" I tell you, man, them dudes ain't no joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, they cut the car up.
So they slice it up, yeah.
Yeah,
But see, you
He
can't
said
have no
they
fear.
cut the whole floor out. They cut the whole floor out and start. They build around they put the floor around the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm gonna have that approach with my truck. I think just cut it up and just see where we go.
Yep.
But
Make it
Yeah.
sit the way you want it.
so
Yep.
where exactly? I don't think I'm not gonna notch the frame. A lot of people, what they do is they notch that back frame, that arch,
Mhm.
that little arc, so it can drop the truck maybe like 3 more inches. But I don't need the truck to be scraping the ground like that.
You mean
Yeah.
like a Z that like Zing the frame? Is that what you?
Well, you know what happens, like on the truck,
C-nuts.
it's got like a frame like right above the back where the axle
Right.
goes. So
Yep.
so the axle can go up in
I
it.
can picture.
Oh,
Yeah, I
a
know exactly what
C-notch.
you're talking about. Yeah.
C
Yeah.
notch. Yeah.
Right.
But Terry,
That's to get you extra ground, so you can be in the weeds. But
Right.
but listen,
No.
Terry, hold on.
uh-oh.
You know how sweet it is when you come down the hill, man. You hit the corner and you layer on the ground, man. Woo! You got it, man. I don't know. You got to cut it.
Hey, and then you could put the what is it? The magnesium blocks, the sparklers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta use the magnesium. Don't be cheap and just use a steel block.
Right.
See, I'm more impressed with the sound of the truck, just going slow
There you go.
instead of like
Nice.
all the aesthetics of it, like jumping up and down and lowering in the weeds.
I just watched the video tonight, Terry. Some guy, it's Red's Barn, I think it was. He popped up in my YouTube feed, and he happened to just do a video comparing the Delta Force Flowmaster mufflers to
Oof.
glass packs on his '56 Chevy.
Which one did you
And,
like? Glass
the
pack, right?
The Flowmasters. Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. You know what?
They give
The
you a
glass
sound.
packs always have that little bit of a raspy kind of a sound to them, especially as they get older. They, and I like glass packs, but these Flowmasters just stayed low and mellow. And what he did, there was something else he did too. He said the car had long tube headers on it originally, and he used to scrape them. So he took them off and put on like an aftermarket ram's horn with a 2.5-inch opening.
Mhm.
And now he had better clearance. But also with the glass packs, he had tailpipes sticking right out. It's typical on a '56 Chevy. They stick out under the bumper on either side of the license plate. They're kind of inboard a little bit. And now with the new exhaust with the Flowmaster, the tailpipes came out the ends of the car, like up in. There you go. That's a
Old school.
Like a cherry bomb.
That's a fiber.
Yeah,
That's an old
cherry
cherry
bomb.
bomb, right?
That's Mr. Horsepower.
There you go. So the new pipes came out at the ends of the quarter panels, and they returned down, but behind the bumper. So outside the car, you didn't see the tailpipes at all. And I was wondering about that because before, when I had the exhaust on my car originally, the pipes fell short of the bumper, and I would get exhaust in the car. I actually had to put tips on it to bring it out past the bumper. So
Yeah.
I don't know how he was doing with that, but yeah, the Flowmaster sounded. I'll send you the link to his video.
Yeah, I want to see.
I
that.
like the way the Flowmaster sound on a Mustang. It
I can hear that car a
Mhm.
mile away, and it's like hearing like an Ironhead Sportster. I can tell you what size that engine is. Same thing with a Mustang. I can spot a 5.0 with Flowmasters a mile away without even seeing it.
Yeah, for some reason, to me, the Flowmasters on a Mustang, it gives it a certain sound. It enhances that sound.
Yep.
It's just different.
That's what I'm gonna put on my pickup. The Flowmaster. I'm trying to get that sound. I like that sound too.
The Flowmaster sound. Now, were they the 3 or the 2 chamber?
He didn't. Well, I'm going to send you the video.
Yeah.
I had on the Mustang, I had 69. They were 69
And I'm back.
GS resonators that I had. They were straight through 2.5 inches. They were resonators. That's what I had on my Mustang.
So you really don't need 3-inch, man. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, I gotta have 3-inch pipes." No, if it's street ride,
I'm
man,
running
get to
2.5
2.5,
on
and you
my
won't have
car.
headaches.
2.5. That's what I had.
And you
2.5.
won't have headaches.
Full 2.5 to the back.
Papa Square, did you bring enough for the whole class?
No, I was greedy. I ate my steak and my baked potato in record time.
Terry, Papa Squirrel said, "Oh, I got to go. My steak's done," and he was out.
He was
He
out.
was out.
I would have been
It
out.
was done.
I would have been out that fast if there was onion rings involved. I just sent you guys Brian, I didn't send it to you. I just
It's
sent you guys
okay.
the
I
video.
feel it's all right. Us big guys don't need any love. It's okay.
I know. Well, yeah, because I'm trying to think and talk at the same time, and I can't do
It's
that.
okay. But
Here it is.
you should have been here when we had the Ring Brothers on. I mean, Jim, because we asked the ultimate question
Yeah.
about what Tri-Fi.
What was his answer?
You know what his answer was?
I know exactly what his answer was
Why? How do you know exactly?
because I asked him when I was at SEMA.
Oh, he said it was a 56. I told him not to come back anymore.
Well, I'll tell you, this guy didn't elaborate on his setup of the car other than to say it's a 327 with a turbo 400. But it's a nice looking car. It's a blue and white car. It's got a nice, stock.
I'm looking at it now. It's
interior.
beautiful.
Very nice.
And
What year is it?
Hey, Brian,
56.
Lewis Lee was there too. What did the other brother say about LS installs in Fords?
Yeah,
He
he
said-
even
He
said
said he'd
that
never
I could
do
do
it
that with
again.
my Mustang too.
He
It's this
said,
year.
"Do whatever you want to do because it's your car."
Because they had one with an LS in it. 69, I believe it was. Yeah. Best running engine, he said. I'm just saying. Hey,
He did say
56.
that.
That's the year it is.
Yep.
That's nice. Hey, you got the other? You got the other one?
Yeah. Just
So,
not
hey,
next to me. I got it somewhere.
Hey, listen. When you send my
You want 'em?
carburetors back. Throw those in the box too.
You don't realize how heavy those things are.
I'm pretty sure
I'm
they
telling you, those
I'll take care of the shipping.
you're gonna have to, man. They are heavy. They are heavy.
That's not
I
stock,
bet
is
you
it?
the Ring Brothers will make one in aluminum.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I'll tell you what, man. I didn't realize that you could do the lenses from a 3D printer. Terry, he said
Oh, yeah.
he 3D prints lenses, custom lenses for his cars.
I can see that. I don't know how they do it, but I'd love to. We need to go out to their shop.
And if he
Yeah.
wants to be really slick, he just has to put a DOT thing at the bottom just to
really
to be
throw it.
compliant.
Yeah, and he said he mixes in clear. If he wants a different red, he'll mix it in the clear and clear 'em. I never thought
How
it.
does he feel about us? You think he would allow us to go out there for a visit?
Oh yeah. I talked to him already about it. I was like, man, we coming. So
Wisconsin, right?
Wow,
That's
cheese
not too far
country.
from you.
it's about 6 hours, I think.
It's up near
Boy, make some
Oshkosh.
good
ain't
grilled
it?
cheese sandwiches out there, huh?
Yeah.
Cheese.
I'll tell you something, Brian. This past weekend, I made grilled cheese sandwiches for my wife and daughter. And I said, all right, I got to tell you something. We're doing this Brian way. I did it with the mayonnaise, and they liked it. I said, yeah, man, I'm telling you, man, I'm a convert. This is the way to do it.
You got to do it with the mayonnaise.
Yeah, I never did before.
When I told Ray that, Ray gave me that look like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. I was like, what?
And
What?
I'll even
Yeah.
take it one step further. You can also use a little Golden's mustard in the mayonnaise
Ooh.
oh yeah.
because that'll give it like a
So-
nice little kick. I didn't realize that until a lady I used to work with at AT&T, old school lady, and she had potato salad and she gave me some. And I was like, oh my God, what is up with this potato salad? She goes, what are you talking about? I said, this is one of the best potatoes I've ever had. And she goes, oh, along with the mayonnaise, you got to put mustard. She was running down the ingredients. I was like, that's it. She says,
You
it's
know-
not the French's, not the yellow, but you got to use the brown.
I'll
And I'm
tell you
like-
something. My wife made a dish the other night. It was recipe. It was like pork, veal, and beef shredded up. There was rice. There was onions, cream corn. And then I said, but what gave it that sweet? It had like this sneaky kind of sweet taste. There was ketchup and mustard and honey and like all just, I was like, holy shit, I would have never guessed it. She goes, it came out right because she just followed the recipe and it worked out. I was like, man, put this on the list. This is a keeper. So a lot of times
Like
when you combine those things, the flavors, it's a hit.
Yeah.
It's like a bi-weekly meal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the next
I was
time it was
watching-
shrimp
I was-
and scallops over rice with some kind of some vegetables and all. That was another good one.
I don't
like
know
that.
if I saved it.
Yeah.
But I was watching something on, this TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and the guy was grilling up something. It was, I don't know if it was biscuits or I don't know what it was, but as he says, don't use butter, use mayonnaise. And I wanted to send it to you, Ray,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
I know you think that it was like when I told you, even John thought
Right.
that I was crazy. I don't know if he ever tried it, but
No,
it
John
makes a
did.
big difference.
The two of you guys converted me, and that was the thing. That when I made the first sandwich, I said, "Hey, you know what? I didn't do it a couple times. I said, what's going to happen? I'm going to waste 2 pieces of bread and some cheese. I can pull the cheese out and eat it. So what's the big deal?" And the thing that amazes me the most is not only how evenly it browns the bread, but the mayonnaise doesn't burn like the butter.
Yeah.
It just doesn't burn. Like, damn, this is unbelievable. And it tastes. I think in a blind taste test, I wouldn't have known the difference. And I love butter.
Yeah.
Well, here's the question: is it mayonnaise or Miracle Whip? Which one do you guys prefer?
Mayonnaise.
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 Hellman's.
Hellman's.
Hellman's
Ah,
all the
man,
way.
this conversation.
Well,
is
actually, when I make my potato salad,
this is
I
worse than the
use
56
Duke.
conversation.
That's different.
What's that, Brian?
When I make my potato salad, I use Duke instead of
You know,
instead of
when we were
Hellmann's.
down in North Carolina, my wife and I were in the supermarket, and I said, "Hey, look at this! I picked up. They had a big display, a can of, a thing of Duke's mayonnaise." And she goes, "Yeah, we'll wait till we get down here to actually buy it." I'm like, "Okay, buy it and bring it home," because I've never had it.
Yeah, we're
Miracle
on the
Whip
board.
boy
We're on the
forever.
line.
Really? Did you grow up with
Oh,
Miracle
man.
Whip?
Miracle
Yeah.
Whip.
You grew
Yeah, I
up. with
grew up. I grew up. No, actually, I grew up on
Miracle
Miracle
Whip.
Whip too. I had
Okay.
Miracle. We had it because that was the alternative, and it was fat free. It was the
Better for you. Yeah.
better for you, whatever. And it
So look where
wasn't
that got
until,
you.
huh?
Look where that got you.
Yeah, well, it actually, it was funny because I guess it was like later on, it was just I always bought, Hellman's. Like I said, unless I'm making my potato salad, then I use Duke. But I went along, and I guess it was funny because when you go into the doctor and he starts telling you what you can and cannot eat or whatever, And I'm like, look, dude, I'll give up all this, but I'm not giving up mayonnaise or real hot dogs. I'm not buying any of this crap, you know.
Right.
I'm
No
going
turkey
for-
dogs.
Yeah, I said this is it, you know. And
So
but again-
what's your hot dog of choice?
well, I don't really have any as long as it's just all beef. I mean, you know,
Beef.
natural, you know,
Do you like the soft casing or the ones that snap?
snap.
Snap.
Yeah. You know, we have them all up here in New York. We got everything.
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, my wife hit on this brand, and we grew up, you know, Nathan's, Carl Ima. What's the other brands, Terry?
Best.
That's the one she found. She found this best brand, and I was like, whoa, these are great.
Yeah.
We had Ballpark, the plump one. You know, I mean, we've tried them all.
Hebrew National.
Hebrew National, right? But the best are the best, man. They're
The best are the best.
phenomenal.
I agree.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, like I said, as long as it's you know, beef, you know, the real deal. I don't none of this
Hey, we hit
Yes.
food a half hour early tonight. What's going on?
I know. I see.
It's going to be a long night, Brian.
I tell you, I
Oh, yeah, you got your truck.
Yeah, Terry, you missed it last week.
Nice.
I missed it. Look at here's the tan cat.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
What's up, buddy? How you doing? And his brother's right here. Flying
That's
around
a
with him.
cutie.
That's the gray cat.
He's a little bit, yeah.
What's up?
He's a little bigger.
What's up? Yeah,
There
he's
you
the
go.
bruiser.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I got to jump ship, but for the guys in New York, I'm sending the rain over to you. It's on its way.
No, keep that. Keep that.
Yeah,
Keep that.
keep that with you, right? We had a beautiful day today.
yeah, we had a
On its way,
gorgeous
baby.
day.
Yeah. No,
Yes.
send it west. Send it west. So,
Send it
Louis,
to the
listen,
Ring Brothers.
yeah. Don't lock yourself out of your truck or your house, or the bus, like because you don't have locks that work on anything. It seems like
Yeah, man, I'm like got a lock fit.
you're like lockless.
Yeah.
Just leave it unlocked. It's
Yeah.
okay. Don't worry.
The lockless monster.
Hey Terry, end of July is that big car show in is it Wisconsin? What's it called? Man, I'm losing my brain. Ida car show?
Idaho?
Idaho,
No, not Idaho. It's
Idaho.
Ida something. It's the biggest swap meet. Greg was talking about it from Greg's Speed Shop when he was on.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I think it's in Wisconsin too.
Make a trip of it. You know, go see them Ring Brothers.
It's in the end of July. If you want to roll, let's do that.
We might have to do that. We'll kidnap Ray. It's on the road. We don't have to fly.
It's a hell of
Yeah.
a trip.
Mm.
Well, you know
Yeah.
I fly.
You guys are 8 hours for me, or 7 hours for me.
Yeah, we're about 6-7 hours. Yeah, it's about 600 miles from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4.
And I was like 600 miles from Toledo.
hmm Yeah, Toledo is 3 hours for me, so I'm closer.
Okay.
So I'm about 400 miles.
Okay.
You see, the only thing with Ray, he only has one way in, so he has to come all the way down to go across.
hmm
Because he have to go to because you're on Long Island.
Right.
You have to go to that island, then you got to go like 80 and go all the way across.
Right. I got to go up
Yeah.
through the state, through the city, through the borough to get hit 80. Right.
When I used to go to Unique Auto Sports, man, that was a long trip down Long Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't realize until you're rolling.
And you went out, to go out east too. Yeah, I'm on the western side. I'm,
Oh, not too deep.
no, I'm in Nassau County. Yeah, I'm just, I'm not.
Yeah, you're not too far from the Throgs Neck Bridge, though, right?
No, not. It's probably
No traffic.
40 miles. Yeah, probably 40 miles. Yeah, it's
Okay.
25 miles to Queens. Yeah, so I can get to the Throgs Neck. Yeah, without traffic, I can get to the Throgs Neck in like about a half hour or so.
Okay.
But without traffic.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
fellas.
like, that's driving through my neighborhood without traffic.
Yeah. Go through Washington.
Mm.
All right,
I'll let you know what else I get locked out of this week.
Yeah. Keep
Carry a quarter around so
leave
you
a
make a
window
phone
open
call.
so you can climb in.
Yeah, leave it cracked.
Right.
All right.
I'm gonna
hey,
head out too.
everybody-
I just got in the house. I'm gonna give these cats some love. They're looking at me like, "Yo, you ain't gonna hug me?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna hug you.
Give me some
You
yum.
guys
want
have
my
a
ginger
safe
ale.
week, man. Stay safe.
All right, guys.
Oh, wait. Papa
Oh.
Squirrel, I had a question for you. How much antifreeze does your truck take? Do you know? 12 gallons, maybe?
12 gallons.
12 gallons.
That's a lot. Maybe total.
No.
Still like
Yeah.
8 is like a regular V8.
No, this is for our bus, and he has the same motor in
Oh,
his
the bus
truck.
bus.
Papa
I don't
Squirrel,
think-
can you hear me?
I don't think you heard.
Oh,
it.
sorry, I didn't know you were talking to me. See, I take
Still
7.5
thinking about that steak.
gallons of oil.
Yeah.
I'm in a food coma.
7.5 oil.
And about I'd say about 5-6 gallons of antifreeze.
Oh,
Is that mixed or just straight up, and then you mix it with water?
I mix it with water, and it takes about 7 or 8. I don't know, about the same as oil.
yeah. 7 to 8 gallons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I bought 12 of the 50/50. So yeah,
That's
about right.
enough.
Yeah.
12 of the 50/50 ought to do you.
You
Yeah.
have extra.
Unless they've got a bigger capacity than my truck does, because your engine's in the rear, right?
No, I'm front, just like
Your
yours.
front?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
I can't
So-
remember how much mine takes.
And you
Let's
said about
say-
7.5 gallons of oil.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
which is a shit ton of oil when you start. You
Yeah.
can't find any 5 or gallon jugs, and you have to buy quarts.
Yeah.
This freaking Volvo is a straight 6, a 3.5 liter straight 6, seven quarts oil in that thing.
Good
It's a
Lord.
lot of oil for straight.
damn.
six.
Yeah, I think
They're serious about engine protection.
I just changed
They don't,
oil. in
they
the
don't want
tool
you
truck,
spending
and it
anything on that
was-
thing.
No.
What was it? 3 gallons? 3 gallons of oil.
Wow. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's expensive.
I bought a transmission cooler too. I'm gonna put on it, so I might throw another little bit more in for that.
Good idea. Yeah. A little bit.
Heat is the number one enemy of that transmission.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, but don't make it too cold though, because you'll have
Right.
problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if it already has one, don't be careful. Because and ask me why I say that is because as a person that said, "Oh, cooler's better," and man, I ended up having to go around half the winter with a cardboard in front of it because it was too cold.
You know,
Mhm.
back in the day, I put oil coolers on my Honda motorcycle and on my Harley, and then Lockhart got smart and they actually sold it's like a thermostat that went in line, so it would open and close and send oil to or restrict it to the cooler depending on the ambient temperature.
That's a good idea.
Because you don't want to.
Isn't that what the Porsche 911 has for the oil cooler that sits in the front trunk?
Yep, up front. Yeah, They had a.
Listen, I'm trying to do everything I can to be efficient and where if something breaks, I don't have to work on the road. I want to, you know what I mean?
This is
Right.
for the bus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything I touch, I'm changing it. Believe me.
That's gonna be kick ass. I
Wow.
like that bus. Like, yeah.
Yep. I'm gonna do the hoses, belts. I might even put a new injector pump on it. There's nothing wrong with it, but man, I want to be fresh, man.
Yeah, but you're gonna run into the same problem you did with that light bulb.
Yeah.
yeah.
NEW.
You're right. I better slow my roll.
I mean, there's a point of that, but like I said, you get a little carried away. It's okay, but
well, it's 20 years old, so
That
You
don't
know,
mean
I hate to tell you this, that 20-year-old part is a whole hell of a lot better than what a new part is.
yeah.
To that point, when I rebuilt my Pontiac, I made a concerted effort to reuse as many of the original parts as I could instead of replacing them with aftermarket
Mhm.
because they worked. And something stupid is that I made one mistake. I said, okay, the power steering pump was original. So I said, yeah, what? Dorman had just come out with one. So got at the auto parts store, $50, changed the pulley, put it on the car, bled it as per the service manual, and everything was fine. And then all of a sudden it was like it was just acting funny. And it's, you know, the cap has a little vent hole on top. It was pissing fluid out of the vent hole over the fender. Like, what the hell is going on? I took it off. I swapped the pulley back onto the original one, painted it nice semi-gloss black, put it on. That's the one that's on the car today, the 1965 pump, and it's still working.
Yeah.
What made you decide to want to change it though?
Because Dorman
You
came
had a
out with a
Lewis
new one and
moment?
it was $50. And I said, okay,
Yeah.
let me just, you
Yeah.
know, I'm in there. I'll put a new one on. But
Nothing against you, Lewis. I love you, but
There's always
Ray had a
money.
Lewis moment. I'll just go,
Right.
$50. I'll put a new one on. This one's 20
Yeah.
years old.
I can't
So-
tell you how many parts I reused and repainted or plated or, you know, cleaned them up. But I'd rather use the original stuff than aftermarket whenever possible. Not that, and I'm an aftermarket guy,
Mhm.
you know.
Well, maybe I'll do this. I'll buy some parts and put them in the storage in the bus. in case
That's
it
not a
breaks
bad
down.
idea. Yeah.
Then I'll have
Just
like
in case.
injectors, maybe a pump, you know,
Right.
water pump,
That's
alternator.
not a bad idea.
So I might do
You
that.
have vintage air in your GTO, Ray?
What's that, Terry?
Vintage air?
Oh, yeah. I've been to Jaron there.
Because I got a original 66, 67 AC setup.
Oh, wow. I was looking for one of them.
Yeah.
I
I was
had
thinking about
parts of
using
it.
it, but I think I'm just gonna sell it.
Yeah, I had parts of it, and then I ended up going vintage. I gotta charge it. The problem is I ran the lines. You know, we've talked about this here before. The lines come out of the evaporator,
Mm-hmm.
and I snuck them through and all. But now I have the hoses under the hood that need the fittings crimped on them. And Brian's got the crimping tool,
Yep, I got the crimping tool.
and I don't have one. And I was gonna, you know, so I gotta see if I can get somebody to crimp them on in the car. for
I'll
me.
send it to you, Ray. I'll send it
that's
to
a
you.
lot. That's
Oh, come on, Ray. What are friends for? Hell, next time you drive by, you're only 45 minutes away.
I know.
You were
And I'll
so
be coming
close.
down
I can
probably-
smell. I smell something from New York.
Yeah, it was a
Some
cooking.
hot dogs with mayo.
I'll probably be coming down again in May too.
I mean, I have no problem with the UPS sticker.
That that big Toyota dealership I see on 95. That wouldn't happen to be the one that you go to, is it?
No.
It's a giant dealership, man.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Oh, and
used to be a Cadillac dealership.
I found out what that thing is, that monolith thing is on 95 that I was telling you about that I thought was a missile silo.
Yeah.
No, it's the U.S. Marine Corps. It's a monument at Quantico.
Oh.
And what
I
it
know
is,
what you're
is-
talking about. You're talking about that hideous looking arc looking
Yeah.
thing that looks like it's almost like a ramp or something.
Right. It's all glass, and the spire that's sticking out that I thought was like, no, that actually is to commemorate the raising of the flag at Iwo Jima.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
I didn't know what that was. It's a scary looking sight when you're driving
I
up on
know.
it at night.
Yeah, because it's on this big concrete base. I said, "Oh, that's a missile silo. That damn thing is pointing right at Russia. I know it, you know, but it's not. I looked it up, and it's not. It's at Quantico.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I'm going to head on out.
All right, Terry, go feed the cats.
All
Feed
right,
the
Terry,
cats.
take care.
Take
Good
care,
seeing
everyone.
you, bud.
Later,
All right.
Terry.
It's a pleasure.
Good night. So, Brian, you got to send Mother Matko over here
Yeah.
with her sock darning thing. I got a hole in my one of my new socks. Like all the others are perfect, and one sock. You know, Clay Coon told me about this. He goes,
Yeah.
"You're gonna love those socks, but you're gonna poke holes in them." I'm like, get out of here! These things are beautiful. Well, I got this one sock, and it's on my left foot. I got weird feet. I know, so I know my big toe poked a little hole in it. So what I'm
Ray,
doing is-
Ray.
Yeah.
I am truly sorry.
I believe you.
And I have I even have look here. I got see
Yeah.
it says Ray,
Uh-huh.
and this is I just need to get this thing shipped off. See, it's your extra long quarter
Oh.
inch with the 3/8 head.
Oh, nice.
They don't have it in purple yet.
We got to talk too, because I got stuff that you sent me that you haven't billed me for,
I
and there's
know.
other stuff that you were supposed to send me that you didn't. That I want you still to send me.
I got a pile over. I got a pile of socks. I've
Oh.
got scrapers. I've got all kinds of
Scrapers are
stuff.
on the list, right? So basically,
I'll work on it really hard this week. And
well, let
send
me
them
tell you
off.
what happened. So every time I go to put those socks on, you can't tell when they're folded in the drawer because they
No.
look perfect. I put it on my left foot. I always put my left sock on first, and I see the hole. So I take it off. I put it on my right foot. I said, I'm going to fool this freaking sock. So just yesterday, I was wearing them, and now I have my shoes off. I'm walking around the house. My wife says, what the hell's that? I'm like, what? She goes, what's with your foot? I look, and on my right foot, 3 toes are sticking out of the front of the foot.
It's that big.
I was like, holy shit. Like, that hole wasn't that big. But yes, the other one is fine. And all the other pair are fine. So there's random errors with these socks.
I got one pair. Actually, I finally just. Actually, I don't even know if I saved the one because maybe I should send it to you and you can
Just
throw
make
the
a
other
pair.
one away. Because I have one that same thing. It finally got a hole in it. And I did the same thing. I put it over on my other foot.
Yeah.
And like you say, you all of a sudden you're like looking down, everybody's looking at you, and you got like one toe hanging out, and that's like, dude.
I felt weird having the logo on the insides, because
Yeah, it drives me crazy too.
that's so anyway. All right, so we know Mother Matco is somewhere the sock darning thing is weird, but all right. So listen, so tell me now about this the what they're doing with the torque wrenches because that's a cute little, that was a nice little thing that they made.
I have
They're not on
no
special or
idea.
anything. That I figured it would be like a special campaign.
No.
Because they sent me an email today about all this stuff that's on sale, and it's all the battery powered stuff. Well, they're still like hitting it hard.
Yeah,
It's some
they're
stuff.
trying to get rid of it, dude. No,
Yeah.
they're done with. I mean, the 12-volt stuff. The 12-volt. Actually, all I'm really waiting for, Ray. I use the 12-volt around the house,
Right.
and I don't have any problems with it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
And actually, all I'm waiting for is it to come to the right percentage off. And there's 2 or 3 pieces that I need, so that I can have. And they said the only thing eventually that they're going to make are just batteries and chargers for 12 volts. And there won't, that way at least you have a battery.
Right. That's important.
And, I had that one guy that he's got all 12-volt
Right.
stuff. And he's finally gave me, I don't want to really say the go ahead, but he's finally said, well, I thought about getting the Milwaukee stuff, but dude, for me, the Milwaukee stuff looks like Home Depot, and I don't want that. I don't want that in my toolbox.
I like the Milwaukee stuff. The stuff
I
I
mean,
have, I like it a lot. The only problem I have is when I use it at the shop, and I guess they all do it. It gets dirty pretty quick. It does. But you're in a shop. What are you going to do?
Well, the only thing I like about the Milwaukee stuff at the moment, or I like, because they are on the edge, and they are leading the way, but they're starting to do a lot of chemical resistant stuff.
Nice.
So there's the stuff just doesn't fall apart or look like shit 3 weeks later. You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
So that is good. The only problem I have is just like everything else. They have regular, high torque, high speed.
I know.
Super, and it's like somebody. I just had a guy do this. He looked in. It was a 1/2-inch impact, and it was something like $359. It was in our sales flyer, and I was like, "Well, that's pretty cheap." And I didn't realize, but it was just a standard 1/2-inch impact. It was like 650 foot-pounds.
Right.
And of course, the guy's like, he sees the price, and he's like, "Yeah, order me that." And then, of course, I'm like looking at it. I was like, "Dude, this is awful cheap. What's going on here?" Because I almost ordered 3 or 4 more to put on the truck. Because I was like, "Dude, when the sale's over, I'm making bank. This is the way we make money. It's not, it's how you buy." And then I realized I'm reading it. I said, "Man, this is only 600 foot-pounds or 650 foot-pounds. It's not the 1,200 foot-pounds, that they're selling for $900.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, I give it to the guy, and then next week I walk in, and goes, man, this thing doesn't have any power. And I said, dude, right here, 650 foot-pounds. What do you want?
Right.
He was pretty cool about it.
Speaking of that, I was totally shocked last week when I was trying to take the lug bolts off that Volvo with my big old Matco impact, and I got 4 out of the 20 off.
Yeah.
And I was ugga-dugging my ass off, man, and they weren't budging. And then I had to take the because I have my big 4-foot breaker bar here at the house, so nobody would steal it on me. I took the jack handle off one of the floor jacks and put it on a breaker bar, and I was leaning on this thing like full lean, and it would go crack on every single one. Those bolts were tight. You know why? Because it's a through hole on the bearing.
Yeah.
And in the back end is where they rusted. So,
and of course, they get all that brake dust and metal fiber stuff and all
water.
that crap on it.
So I took them and I wire wheeled them all off, and I just took my Silicroil and I sprayed some Croil in each of the bolt holes to kind of give it a light lubricant.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as I don't know when they were off last, but I mean, I rotate the tires on every oil change. So those wheels are coming off a couple times a year at least, So, but like I said, I was surprised to see the bolts, and luckily I had that OEM kit of the pins. Thank God.
Yeah, that's back in the day before those kits were out, when the Porsches went to that style lug instead of having studs. It was the same thread pattern as a head bolt, so I made my own. And so that's what I got in mine.
My Fiat has the bolts too, and what I was going to do is I have spare. I actually bought when I put the Maserati wheels on the car, I had to buy a set of bolts that were a little longer. I think maybe 20 millimeters longer or whatever. And it was a guy who made them, and nice chrome head. So I bought those. So I have a bunch of spares, and I was going to take some of the stock ones and cut the heads off of one pair and weld them to the other to make them longer to make my own.
Yeah.
And then I found out that those studs were available, and I started looking around. I found the one set that I needed, and then I saw that OEM kit, and I said, "Wow, there's 3 or 4 pieces in here, and it wasn't that much more. It wasn't really super expensive." I said, "I'll buy the kit. Why not?"
Yeah.
And I took the 2 for the Fiat, and I have it in my toolbox at home, and the kit I brought to the shop. And sure as shit, when I was that day, I'm thinking like, the light went off. I finally remembered that I had something. I said, I bought a set of these, and I know what drawer they're in the toolbox. And I took them out and it was the biggest ones. It was like 12 by 1.5.
Yeah.
And what a lifesaver.
Yeah, those make it nice.
For sure. Especially, that's got big wheels. They're 17-inch wheels, and not that the 17 is big, but they're bigger tires. They're like almost like a small truck tire. So it's heavy.
Yeah, and like I said, and it's probably it depends on what wheel you have, but like some of the hubs are raised out past the wheel, so they fall over or fall off, they get all scratched up,
right,
dinged up and all messed up, and
No, that was the way to go.
Yeah,
so that was a true. Now I was going to buy some brakes for the car, and I found out there's 2 different rotor sizes. I think it's 216 and 236 millimeters. So now I got to go take a wheel off again and measure a freaking rotor.
Yeah, it should be stamped on there on the hub on the hat. It's probably stamped on there. They should, or on some of those on the Volvos, if it's a solid rotor instead of a vented rotor, it's actually on the lip.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait. I'm trying to remember. They solid or vented now?
That's the only, like I said. So you can look around, won't see any numbers, but if you look on the actual rotor part sticking up, they'll have the size on there.
The other thing I found was, this is the stupidest thing in the world. While I was under the hood, I said, you know what? Let me just take a look at the air filter. So the filter box, they have a cover over it. You pull the cover off, and on the top housing of the air filter, they put a computer with 2 CAN bus connectors. I'm like, that's a good place for it. So there's about 6 Torx screws, they're T25s that hold it on. And I looked at them, and they were a little rusty. So I got my Torx driver in. I got 5 of them loose. One of them, I can't get a Torx bit to bite. I mean, I was hitting it with a punch, trying to like kind of like when you get a bad Phillips head,
Yeah.
try and close it over and then pound the Torx bit into it. I couldn't get one of them. I can't get the damn thing out. And I'm like,
Wow.
now what am I going to do? And it's down, it's down under the fender, so you can't really get a tool in there. I was thinking about cutting a slot in it for a straight slot or something, but you can't get in there with a tool. So I found this place. Joe found me a guy in Connecticut that they sell used Volvo parts, but I sent him a message online, asked him if he had the airbox cover, but he didn't get back to me.
Oh.
I hate to have to buy the whole cover just because one screw
Yeah.
isn't working, but what am I going to do? You can't get the air filter out.
Yeah.
Ray, do you have one of those extra long cutting wheels, air-powered cutting wheels?
No, I have a whiz wheel, but it's the standard size. I know the one you mean, the long one. I
Yeah,
don't have the long one, no.
because I bought one and I haven't tried it yet.
Even with that, it's to get like you can't go in on an angle. It's not that you need the depth. It's you have to kind of go down straight, and it's right up on the fender. It's the one that's it's not an easy one. It's not the hardest one, but it's not the easiest one either.
Papa Squirrel, is that a 3-inch wheel or a 4-inch wheel on your extended cutting? Do you know?
3-inch.
Yeah, it's the older style.
Yeah, it's the older style.
Yeah, that's the first ones were 3-inch, and they changed them up to 4-inch. I still have a 3-inch. I have a 3-inch, but the ones we sell now are 4 inches.
Yeah, the one I use is a 3-inch, and I tell you, depending on what you're cutting, sometimes that wheel runs down pretty fast, and you don't have, and now you're down to a 2-inch, and you're like, oh man, I need a new wheel.
Yeah, I sell the Diamond Zirconia wheels or whatever.
Actually,
they're from Shark, man. They're pretty badass. They last forever.
That's on this list.
Yeah,
we talked about it one
time. No. Those were metal ones.
No,
that was the metal one. This one
I have a diamond grinding wheel on this.
Yeah, I don't have it. The smallest I have is I don't have anything bigger than 3-inch.
Mine is a 3-inch.
Oh, okay. Easy, Ray. Relax. I know that damn list.
This list is getting so old, it's going to fall apart. I'm glad I wrote it. It's on there.
Yeah.
Right under the floor jack wheels.
Yeah, I got that. Actually, I took the old ones off. They're actually on the hood of the Audi.
Oh, okay.
It was a snap-on. It was a snap-on floor jack that I took trade in, and it had the big shank or
13/6. I have a 13/16, half-inch. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's not it. No, that was a socket. I didn't write the diameter. I remember I sent you a picture and I gave you the diameter. It is a big shaft. Even the Snap-on guy, when I saw him a year or two ago, and I said, "Hey, I got a wheel. There's a half moon chunked out of it." And he's like, I don't know. And he showed me some wheel. I'm like, no, that's some new jack wheel. He goes, how old's your floor jack? I said, I think I bought it in '83.
Yeah.
He says, and you still have it? I'm like, damn right, I still have it.
Actually, I'm really upset because when I went to go try to get this Audi started, I pulled out my Snap-on battery charger, one of the the roll around wheel ones, that I've had forever. And I went out, plugged it in, hooked it up. And I went to try to start the car, and of course, it was the click, click, and I got lights on the dash, but it was click, click, and so I went over, checked the connection, and then I realized there was no amps. And so I was like, damn it, this charger's fucking finally done.
And that's a transformer machine too.
And it's old carbon plate, it's the old plates in it or whatever. And I sent one out about 10 years ago, and the guy told me that was about it. There was, they don't rebuild those.
I have a Sears, a Craftsman that's like that, and it's still kicking. Thank God. I gotta.
Yeah, so I was like really pissed off because now I'm like, I really don't want to buy a battery charger, but it's just unfortunately it's one of those things that I need.
My buddy Mike at the shop, he Junior just bought himself a new Snap-on machine. It's more than just a charger. I think it's a diagnostics center too.
Yeah, junk, dude.
It
God,
co- I mean, he paid like, I don't know, $1,500 to $3,000. I don't know what he paid, $1 million. I don't know, something ridiculous.
We have something very similar, dude. And the problem is the old school guy just wants a battery charger.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't need all that shit, dude. And
Right.
they don't, and you know,
Right.
if it doesn't sense enough, if it doesn't sense anything, it has to do this, and then you have to push the button to jump out. It's just like, look,
Yeah.
dude, you already fucked up our gas cans.
Yeah,
Just fucking want a charger. I
right,
don't need all this other shit.
right.
But
You're right.
yeah, I gave the guys at the expo a hard time about that. I was like, dude, we just want a fucking simple ass battery charger. I don't need to have all these. And of course, you know, they get into this whole glass and, 24 volt and all this stuff, you know, that it's pain in the butt.
I agree with you because I like my diagnostic equipment separate from a lot of things.
Yeah.
The more you try to put in one unit, more problems you're going to have. At least I have problems with it.
Unless it's a
Wait.
Leatherman multi-tool,
Way back,
then it works.
Hey,
way back, I had gotten one of those chargers that it tests the alternator, it does all that stuff when they first started coming out, and it didn't take long. And the stupid thing, it wouldn't charge. It kept saying that my alternator was bad. So then I'd run up to O'Reilly and have them do a check on it, and they're like, "No, everything's good." And I just needed a jump, and they said, "No, your alternator's fine." And I tried the charging thing on another one of my vehicles, and it kept doing the same thing. And I was like, "Well, it's the charger. It's not the." And my vehicles I didn't have a problem with. I had a car that I let sit for too long, and I needed to jump.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem. You were dealing with an Irishman. Go to O'Reilly. No, it's funny because this Volvo that I picked up for my daughter, in the beginning, it didn't want to start. We had to jump it every time. And I said, damn, I need a battery. And it's got a weirdo looking, it's a long, narrow battery, and they're a lot of money. But I brought the thing home. I took it home. I put the transporter plate on it, brought it home, and I took the battery and put it on my Craftsman charger for a couple hours, and then drove it around. And now every time I've gone back to the shop, it starts up. It just needed a good charge,
Yeah.
But yeah. So Brian, tell me about these super fancy, super fragile, these claw. You got my attention with these claw freaking.
I don't have them yet. They're right now. We're supposed to get them next month, or I think it's 6 to 8 weeks. Because right now they're exclusive with Cornwell.
So it was a teaser.
Yeah.
So it looked to me from the video, and I'm only going by what I see. When they showed the measurements, the first thing I figured was they were trying to show you that it was the same or smaller, but it looked to me like each dimension was just a little bit bigger, which isn't a deal breaker. But
No.
I was wondering why they would show you that if it was. But did
Well,
you get the same impression?
Well, like I said, when we were at Expo, they behind the curtains, they weren't supposed to show us, but they had them there. And that's when I showed you the picture. I was trying to ratchet it on my finger, trying to hold the phone and ratchet it on my finger when I sent.
Right.
And that's a redesign now. That's not like the first ones. The first ones had like the claw opened up, but the mechanism was inside, so it would hang. It wasn't very smooth. I had to admit this was a little bit smoother. But the problem that you have trying to ratchet it's just kind of cumbersome.
It's not that it ratchets, it's just that it relieves and then grabs and relieves and grabs.
Right. The other we had some that actually had like a ratcheting mechanism inside.
Yeah. So
And
it's
they
all
were
about that
headaches.
spring pressure on the joint that lets it do what it's got to do.
Right.
So yeah, I could see it wouldn't be for like fast work. Like you can't, like a ratchet wrench, you can ratchet nice and fast as you can move it, you can ratchet it. But
Right.
something like that doesn't work that way.
So I think, well, I'm on the new product list, so I'm going to get a set when they are released. But I know that I can't remember if it was 60 or 90 days they were exclusive to Cornwell,
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
we'll have them.
So
So,
who at Cornwell makes that deal?
with of them,
How do they? What? So what's
It's-
the when
it's
they do
what
that
you
with the
pay.
tool company? What's the payback for them?
well, for the manufacturer or the tool company,
Well, I know why the tool company, because now they're the only ones that have it. So
they're the only ones that have it, right?
so what's the kick to the manufacturer? What's their gig?
Well, usually it's some kind of a price thing or a money type thing that they do.
Could they maybe
and-
tell them they need to take X amount of pieces?
Well, they're going to do now. Like we have had like on our hyperstep drill bits. Do I
Yeah.
have any down here? I mean, we've sold so many of them. We still have the exclusive on it, and we've had it for over a year.
Yeah, Macro just put a thing up on I think it's on Instagram, where they have a regular drill bit chucked in a vise and they're drilling through it with
Right.
Hyperstep.
Yeah. And we've had, like I said, now usually what happens is, we'll have the exclusive for whatever, 60 days or 9. It's usually 90 days is what it normally is. And then, the problem is when you don't sell what you say you're going to sell, then that's when they start farming it out to other people.
Right.
And so we've been pretty lucky because we've been selling, like I said, I can't tell you how I have no idea. I sell so many Hypersteps.
Do you sell the bigger or the smaller sets more?
Well, I normally, if on sell price wise, and like I said, we usually run even though it's not listed, most of the time we have them on sale, and everybody wants the 29 piece, the bigger set.
Right. Yeah, of course.
They want, even though some guys will never see or use a half inch or size drill bit
Just to make a hole bigger, man. It's
but most guys, and actually I've been really surprised because of the cost. I mean, they are fairly expensive,
yeah.
but the mechanics length or the stubbies, Cobalt Hypersteps, I've been selling a lot of those, and that's a pretty big price tag, but the guys liked how small they are lengthwise, because they're like half the size, basically half the size of a regular drill bit.
Right.
So
Yeah, there was always a machinist length or a jobber's length.
right.
It was kinda,
And then we have a stubby, and then we actually have a stubby length.
Right.
And I was a little leery because, at a $400 price tag, that's a little expensive. But again,
I tell you,
as a guy that drilled a lot of manifolds out, I can't tell you how many drill bits I cut to make it fit.
it was funny when I was in the shop Saturday. I went in there last Thursday, and I said to him, "There's a guy working on El Camino. He's doing a lot of body work. Everything's south on the body. He's rocker in or out of rockers, frame repair, doors, fenders. He's doing all the whole bottom. And the body guys are in the other two bays. So I walk in, and of course, I'm not there every day. So what happens? All the stuff gets piled in front of my toolbox and on my toolbox. So I grabbed the one guy working on the El Camino. He's this Rasta guy. And I said, "Hey, listen, dude," I said, "Hopton," I said, "I'm coming in here Saturday." I said, "I'm going to be doing work." I said, "So like, if this stuff is yours," he goes, "No, man, it's not mine, not mine. It's them. He's pointing at the body guy. I'm like, "All right." So I go over to the body guy and say, "Roger, come here." I said, "Listen, all this stuff you got over here." "Oh, yeah, what's the problem? I said, "The problem is I'm coming in Saturday morning, and I got to move all of that to get to my toolbox. So I don't know if you want me moving it or if you want to move it. But if you move it, you'll know where it is. If I can move it, I don't even know if I'm going to know where it is. I said, so just saying, you know, I said, and by the way, what's with this car in the lift? He had some Audi up there that had suspension work. I said, is this going to be out of here? I said, because I need the lift. So here I am dictating terms, right? He says, oh yeah, I'll get it fixed. I'll get it fixed. So I go and I talk to the shop manager, Ronnie. He goes, man, he goes, I heard you in there. He goes, you got these guys jumping. I'm like, look, I said, I'm not bullshitting. I'm telling them, I'm coming in, and you know, it pisses me off if I got to do like 30 to 40 minutes of cleanup.
Oh yeah.
Just to start working. I said, they promised me this, and I tell you, but in this Saturday morning, not only that, we were supposed to have snow overnight, Friday and Saturday. So not only did he get that Audi out and have the shop cleaned, they brought the Volvo in for me so I wouldn't have to work on it, you know, with snow on it.
Wow.
It didn't snow. But the funny thing is, I'm just walking around, and this guy, he's got a toolbox, but he works off these folding tables, you know, and all of his stuff is on the folding tables. And you just walk around the floor, and I'm picking up little bits from bit driver sets and a socket here. And we had this conversation. He goes, "Oh, he was asking me what, you know, he noticed that I always put my tools away when I'm done." And I said, "Yeah, that's so I know where they're going to be when I need them the next time." And yeah, we talked about wrench rails and socket rails and all of that stuff. So he said, "Yeah, I always lose things." I was like, "Well, that's because you're a body man." I said, you throw your shit around. It's on this table. You never put it away at the end of the day. So you don't know what you have, or you don't know what you're missing. So I picked up all these little tools and I stuck them in a cup and I stuck it on the shelf. And I'm going to wait to see him. Like, I didn't approach him this week. I'll catch him later in the week. And like, hey,
Ray,
you
have
want
a yard sale.
What's that?
Have a yard sale with tools.
Yeah.
Well, that'll get them going.
Exactly. So it's funny, the stuff, you know, these guys just throwing shit around like crazy. But so I went in there, I was there yesterday, and he had I think it was a Honda. Yeah, it was a Honda up on the rack, and the whole rear subframe was down. And he put a whole new subframe, not a subframe. It's like a K frame type thing that all suspension mounts on. And he was changing all of that. And I said, wow, what happened? And he showed me the other one, the old one cracked. And he had it up. I said, you know, I said, wow, listen. And it looked like a model car kit all over the floor.
Yeah.
And interspersed with parts with tools all over the floor. I said, it's like walking through a landmine. You got to walk around things. So I said, wow, you're getting to use your mechanics tools now. You're not using the sanding stuff. You're using the ratchet and the sockets. He's like, oh yeah. I forget what country he's from. Some South American country, but he grew up working in his dad's automotive shop. So he had done mechanical work. Now he just gravitated to body work. So I said, you're getting a taste of the mechanical side. You're living in my world now. He goes, yeah. He goes, what do you think? What do you think? I said, well, I think two things. I said, first of all, I think I probably would have built this assembly out on the ground and put it up as a full assembly. I would have grabbed the tranny jack and put the whole thing up instead of building it piecemeal. I said, second of all, how are you tightening those bolts? He goes, well, I use my ratchet. I use my ratchet. I'm like, no. I said, what torque specs are you using? Oh, yeah. And this is my complaint with the shop. They don't have software like ALLDATA or Identifix or anything that can give you, I always want torque specs. I said, oh, so you're going like, how many Ugga-Duggas are you doing on those bolts? Oh, only two. He's telling me, because I told him, I said, on that Volvo, I said, when I put those lug bolts back on, I have my Matco 1/2-inch gun, which I know is a very powerful gun. I dialed it all the way down, and I just ran the bolts in, so it was just like, tuk, 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 tuk. I said, now when I took my torque wrench set at 103 foot-pounds, I got maybe 10 degrees of movement and it clicked.
Yeah.
I said, so that gun was all the way down and it gave me 90 foot-pounds. I said, most guys have that thing all the way up.
And they hit it at least 3 times.
I said, yeah. I said, and that's where I was trying to get the damn things off. I couldn't get them off. And I said, now you got your wife, your daughter, somebody at night alone on a road somewhere, or even the guy that comes to service it, like, you're stuck. So I said, you really should have torque specs. This is all suspension, man. This is all suspension stuff. And
the funny part about that, Ray, I was just in a shop Friday, and they were doing something, and they were trying to chase down a noise.
Uh-huh.
And it was a Ford pickup truck. And, they're trying to chase down this noise. It was in the back. And, it turned into brakes, the backing plates were, so they're just going through. But what it was that the guy had a lift kit done.
Uh-huh.
And had put the blocks in underneath the thing. And the leaf springs look tight, but when you got the torque spec out, it was like 2 turns of the torque wrench. And that's a lot. It was like,
right.
Click. And I'm like, you didn't realize it looked tight. And there was like that much of, threads from the leaf, the U-bolts or whatever. So you would think they were tight, but they weren't tight. And somebody did that, and they probably did the same thing. They just ran down,
sure.
zip, and
I don't know what this guy was thinking, but he showed me. He pointed at the 2 bolts, the 2 main bolts that hold that member up, and he said, "Yo, it says on there 10." I'm like, "It says 10.9, right? It's 10.9." Oh, how do you know? I'm like, because I said, that's the hardness. That's the hardness of the bolt. I said, that's not a torque spec. That's the hardness. I said, that's like the hardest you're going to find on a metric bolt. I said, there is a chart that you can look up a bolt by its size and it'll tell you what the torque value is. I said, if you look on my cabinet over there, I have one of those charts right on the front, but it's for American bolts. And it'll tell you, and then you look at the size of the bolt and you look at the grade. Yeah, right. Or you go to this. I said, you look at the size of the bolt, the diameter, and the grade, and you follow it down, and you'll get the nominal torque value. And I know all that conversation was wasted.
Yeah, that was.
I hope he didn't torque it to 10.9.
He didn't torque it to anything. He doesn't have a torque wrench.
I know, but a couple Ugga Duggas is more than 10.9. If he's hoping to go to 10.9.
We had a guy there. It was like 3 guys ago. That was the guy that bought the that I had to chase down for the money for the impact gun and all.
Oh yeah,
because he left, but
he came back.
He was a good guy, but from working with him enough times, I got him to use a torque wrench on lug nuts, and he didn't have one, so I let him use mine. And one day, he asked me, "Can I use that wrench? Can I use that?" Well, oh yeah, the torque wrench. Yeah, use it. Yeah, you know where it is. I said, just put it back when you're done. So he went out and he was working on his Jeep. He torques all the lugs down. And then I saw him corner of my eye. He came back and he wiped it down with a microfiber towel, which is nice. And he put it back in the case, put it in my box. He says, all done. I said, whoa, wait a minute. We're not done here, bucko. I said, come here, cowboy. We're not done. He goes, well, what do you mean? I put it back. I clean. I'm like, I know you cleaned it. I know you put it back.
He left it tightened down.
What's that, Isaac?
He left it tightened down. He left it on the torque.
I asked him, did you unlatch it and roll it back to 0? No. And he had that look in his face like, what are you talking about? I said, come here. Took it out. I said, you can't leave these with tension on them because you warp the bar inside, the torque bar. I said, you got to put this down to 0 all the time, and then you're good. He goes, oh, okay. He probably hasn't used one since.
Yeah.
My dad's motorhome, he took it in because the rear end was acting up, and he took it into a place where he bought it, and they rebuilt the rear end. So he drives it out here to California, and he's coming down Grapevine or Tehachapi? Grapevine.
Coming down Grapevine Hill, passing cars like they were standing still.
Yeah. Yes, they did. He didn't care.
Right.
But he heard a pop, so he pulled it into the repair shop down there. He had busted bolts in his rear end, in the gears and that, because they hadn't bothered to tighten them properly.
Sure.
Some were too tight and some were loose. So they had to order him another rear end. He spent a week there.
Wow.
Because they were working on the big trucks, because like the mechanic told him, these guys are making their living and I'll get yours in as I can.
Right.
He took his damn motorhome back to the same fracking company that, and I told my sister, I said, why is he loyal to them? They don't do anything right.
Yeah.
No torque. They just torque it down with a gun. They didn't use a torque wrench.
People think torque specs are a recommendation. Even Chris, he'll tell you, I got a calibrated elbow. Elbow and calibrated for shit. I can tell 30 foot-pounds.
No.
I'm like, you know what? One day I'd love to do the comparison and really, really put that to the test because, I mean, let's face it, you do get some muscle memory, like with spark plugs and certain things, even caliper bolts. I could probably get pretty close. Caliper bolts usually like 26 foot-pounds. I could get pretty close. And a plug is about 30. I could get close, but I wouldn't bet on it. I wouldn't swear to it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, it's I tell you, like I said, we all love sausage, but we don't want to see it made. And
so
I walked into a few shops there. I turn around and walk right back out.
So my question is, what's your take on the digital torque wrenches that give you the beep and the beep, like the emergency room flatline, as opposed to a click style?
Okay. I think the digital are really neat. And
I do too.
And I think it's cool. Okay. But the problem that I have with them, most guys will leave the batteries in them.
I take the battery out all the time.
I know, but most guys leave the batteries in them.
Even on my
so
caliper, I take the battery out.
They corrode and they're fucked after that. And it's a lot of money. I mean, those torque wrenches, the ones that they were showing were, $800.
Really? For the half inch, right? Not the 3/8.
The half inch, the 3/8 isn't too far behind that.
Wow.
I mean, the shit's very expensive.
What do you guys?
And the problem,
on your truck?
and I'm a bumper. And what I mean by a bumper is I take the torque wrench and it's like click, 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 click. And I'll bounce it 3 or 4 times when it's making the clicking, on a clicker. The problem with the digital, that counts as a torque cycle and it counts. So it will only do, we actually raised the number because before it was like 1,000 torques or 100 torques. You had to send it out to get it calibrated or reset. Right. So you could be in the middle. And the only other thing I do not like, they've gotten better, was that if you're doing a torque angle and you're coming around and you're getting ready to do the next 90 and you take a minute and the thing turns off.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, does it going to remember where I was? Does it remember what numbers I personally don't care for.
That's the thing I like the best about the digital is that you have the torque to yield function.
And actually, hold on.
The price. They're freaking expensive.
What do you mean by torque to yield?
Okay, that's a spec that they use on bolts now. You'll find it on brake components like calipers or caliper brackets and a lot of suspension components. What they're doing is they want the bolt to be tightened to the maximum stretch of the threads. And the way you do that is not just by a torque. They'll call out the specification, a torque adapter. Yeah, there you go.
Now, at first I was a little leery with this.
I know guys love it. You just can't get them in tight spaces.
Right. But I mean, for torque angle and all that stuff, this has been far better for me than the torque wrench.
I was just explaining to Papa Squirrel torque to yield. And perfect example is like you're going to put a caliper bracket on. So even if you turn that wheel so you can get access to the bolts, they're usually 17 millimeter, 19 millimeter. To get that adapter in there can be really tight because then you got to put a breaker bar on it. So what it does, Pop Squirrel, you'll see the torque value instead of written as like just like 90, and then that's 90 foot-pounds. It'll be 90 plus 20 plus 10 possibly. And what that means is 90 foot-pounds of torque, then you go 20 degrees of torque angle, and sometimes there's a third one a follow-up at 10. And that brings that bolt to maximum stretch for
Okay.
maximum hold. It also means it's a one-time use bolt. When you take it out, you throw it out. I have reused them because I had no choice, and they went in fine. The threads weren't deformed. And I changed them when I had the chance. So that's what torque to yield. It'll be written as, you'll see TTY. That means torque to yield.
Like a lot of head bolts now, or head nuts, they'll have like 20 foot-pounds, and then they have two 90-degree turns.
When I did the cams in the 4.6 Mustang, I had to use there was a torque to yield setting on the sprockets. It was like 90 degrees too. 90 degrees is a lot of torque.
No shit. And I tell you, when you're doing, when I used to do the head gaskets on the Porsches, because it was 20 foot-pounds torque, and then it was 290 degrees. A lot of times I would do the 10, do the 20 and do the 190, and then I'd go to lunch and come back, and that'd give time for the gasket to flatten out, or because sometimes, man, you're pulling on that thing, man. It took a lot to pull on that second 90.
Right.
It's a lot of pulling. And of course, you're scared the whole time that you're going to see that stud spin in the head. That's in the block.
So on that torque to yield, that's when you look up the spec in the book for it, or is that on the bolt? That it's
it's always when you look it up.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be in a lookup chart. I want to try and see here. Why don't I have this? Son of a biatch. Okay. I will show you what I had bought first was this is a tool made by Lyle. Why isn't this? There we go. Okay. This is the tool by Lyle. This is a torque angle meter.
Yep.
And it's the analog version, if you will. It's just a dial. And what you can do is
you have a needle on there and you point it at 0. And then, of course, you're going to pull it down to wherever, if it's a 90 degrees, 60 degrees. Yeah.
Right. Now, here it is. You see the picture of the caliper?
Yeah.
Okay. So here it is on the caliber of my wife's Cruise. So I had to put an extension on so I could get past the brake bracket, and the meter's way at the back. And then you got to put a freaking breaker bar in the square end, and turn it until the needle reads on the dial whatever it's supposed to be.
If you look at it, you can see the needle sitting up on top there.
Yeah, it's right here. That's the needle.
No. You're pointing off.
Isn't that the needle there?
No, you're pointing at that's on the holder, but the needle on the knob, right up by the square.
So it's got to be around here somewhere. This is a set screw. Let me see. Yeah, it's not clear enough. It's not really clear enough. But anyway, yeah, that's how that works. It's just a straight up needle.
And then you got the classic guy that has the calibrated elbow that takes the imaginary clock and says 15. I like watching those guys because they'll take and say, 15 degrees. That's a quarter. It's from like 12 to 3. That's 15 degrees.
Right. Yeah.
And they use the clock on the wall, moving their hand looking. That's,
Nice try.
Yeah, it's close. Try. It's calibrated with their elbow.
Yeah.
Maybe not to pick on Chris, but maybe Chris can do that.
Those are the guys. Those are the guys that follow this dictum.
I accidentally broke my hammer today. Yeah.
I broke a few hammers.
I figured you were going to say those are also the guys that are walking back after the tire came off to find at least 2 more lugs to put on their car.
And I did rescue Chris when his wheel fell off one day in the parkway.
Yeah.
Yeah, had to go home, get my
Don't
floor
even
jack.
try, I don't even don't because if when I get my chance to talk to Chris again, I don't want to bring that up. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I know Chris is watching us sleeping right now, but I don't want to give him a hard time.
Right. But that's the thing I found more and more. It makes me feel like it had in the past made me feel like an outsider / oddball / some kind of tool geek or whatever. But like when I talk to the guys at the shop now about this, and guys don't torque, they have no idea. All right, the guy's a body man, but he has his basis in mechanics. He was a mechanic first. And it's like, dude, that's what the engineers are for. I mean, granted, they build cars crazy and we can't work on them. But as far as torque specs go, it's pretty damn important. It really is pretty damn important. And
I didn't learn about torque specs when I was in high school. After I got away from high school and went to the service, I used to think that the bolts I was using were cheap because I'd get up there and, crank them till hell froze over.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'd break them.
Right.
And then I found out, guess what? You're exceeding the torque specs of that bolt.
Right.
Cheaper to have a torque wrench.
Right.
I don't bust as many bolts as I used to.
No, and it's the same. It plays into the same argument. Brian and I talk about this a lot, but a lot of guys, friends of mine, an impact gun is one thing, but guys are using these, even the battery powered ratchets and trying to break bolts loose with them. Like, no, you know what? I take everything, even with the ratchet, the battery powered ratchet, I'll manually break that bolt or nut. And then to me, that's a nut runner. It's not a torque device. A gun is different. An impact gun, yeah, but not the ratchets. Even my air-powered impact ratchet, I'll use it as a lever, to break the fastener, and then use it to run the thing off. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
But I had that argument with guys too, and they're like, I'll just get a new one. I bought it on the tool truck. He'll give me a new one. I'm like, yeah, sure.
No, I deal with. I got guys. They say, "Well, this won't break a bolt loose," and I said, "What are you trying to do?" And they show me, and they'll squeeze the trigger and put the socket right, put it right down on, and sometimes it breaks it loose, sometimes it doesn't. But they say it's not strong enough, and I said, "Dude, that's not how you're supposed to do it. It's not,
right.
And it's really, like I said, it's aggravating to a point, or it's frustrating that."
I've had the conversation with guys too that even they take a ratchet and they're trying to break a hard bolt. And I was like, listen, that's what they made breaker bars for, because there's no mechanism in there with 72 or 80 or 150 or 9 million teeth that's going to strip and get blasted. The breaker bar is a solid thing, and it's going to, that's what it's made for. Oh, I just bring it back on the truck. I'll get a new one. Like,
yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Well, I learned that about ratchet wrenches, and I didn't know that when I was younger. And I put breaker bars on them, and they go snap.
Right.
The internal mechanism. And then I found out why you have solid
breaker bars. Yeah.
Breaker bars.
Right.
It's amazing how old you have to get before you start getting intelligent.
Sometimes, but no, you learned it earlier. We certainly learned it earlier. But it's frightening the amount of guys I see in shops today
It's
that
crazy.
are totally uninitiated, and I don't know where they got their training or didn't get their training, but got their jobs. But
it helps.
Yeah.
It helps when you have the right torque specs too. I was changing on my S10 Blazer. I was changing the spider injection, and in the Chilton's or Haynes book, it gave 27 foot-pounds for the plenum bolts when I went to put everything back together. and it was supposed to be 27 inch pounds.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
you gotta look at the
snapped
footnote.
I snapped a couple bolts, and then I went back and I'm like, did I read it wrong? And I'm looking at it and I'm like, it's there plain as day. So then I went to the internet and I started looking it up, and it was inch pounds. And in fact, one of the things that I looked up said it's notated wrong in the book, in the Chilton's book or whatever.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, you know, they'll just put the numbers, and you have to look for the subscript and look down to see
Yeah.
what what it's notated. So it could be Newton meters, it could be inch pounds or foot pounds, or whatever. And you know,
I'll have to look again, but I'm pretty sure it said foot pounds. It didn't have a.
Okay, it could be. Yeah, it could be misprinted.
You
Sure.
could. There's you can't put anything past.
See
I mean-
that's when your secondary information has to come in, like a timing chain cover on a V8. You know, those are quarter 20 by half inch bolts. It's like 11 inch pounds is the torque spec. That's grabbing the head of the ratchet with 3 fingers and pretty much just going like this.
Yeah.
That's like 11 inch pounds. You know, and guys are putting their 3/8. They're putting the ratchet on there.
Oh yeah.
Like, holy
Well, that's how I had to put those plenum bolts in. After I went and fished them out and then went and got more, I had to sit there and play with it and guess. And then, because I'd never done that before on that, with the having to take the plenum apart and I've taken where you take the manifold off, but I've never. That's the first time I dealt with a plenum that came apart like that. And then you had those that they call it that spider injection.
Yep.
Which I think is horrible because it's all plastic or neoprene plastic and it's encased in heat.
Yeah.
And it cracks and it
Well,
breaks.
But then again, to that note, I mean, you're not going to find an intake manifold or an intake manifold on a car now that's not plastic. The plastics have come a long way.
Yeah.
You know, they really have. But you know, my buddy Bill just sent me a text, said, you know, and the choice of the right socket too. I mean, I'm a big fan. I always have been a 6-point guy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, 12-point isn't my go-to. I use a 12-point if I have to, but you know, to know. And the argument's a little more broad on. It's all over the internet, even my YouTube feeds. Chrome versus impact. Clay Coons, his thought is, if I'm advising a guy what to buy first time, a new guy in the shop, I'm telling him buy impact sockets, don't buy chrome. And my thought is, yeah, but you know what? The impact socket is thicker. It's not going to get in some of the spaces that the chrome socket does. So I don't know if I fully agree with that. But I guess it depends on the type of work you're doing. But what's that?
But real quick though, the impact sockets have come a long way, as in thickness themselves. They're not as thick as the older ones.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're just as strong. Again, back in the day, it was a little thicker because it had to be because or the strength. But then once they realized if they dialed it down a little bit, it still had the same strength, but with less material. Because a lot of our ADVS line is an awesome line, and it's very close to a chrome socket.
Have you ever measured them to see how much?
No, but actually, now that you're talking about it, I might have to measure because
I'll stop that caliper. Yeah.
Yeah.
The American one, not the metric one.
Hey, you leave my metric one, my millimetric alone, okay?
It's funny you say that. That word right there. Back in the 70s, there was a guy. Actually, he's in the shop that my friend's shop is in the body shop in Limbrook, the same building. And he was a Greek guy. He had this smoking hot niece that was like, oh my God, like Gina Lollobrigida. She looked like this girl was freaking gorgeous. And he had a nephew. I used to pal around with the nephew. He was a little
younger.
Did
she tell you that you were millimetric?
No, but what he said to me, I ended up cracking a small block Chevy, and I was telling him like, I used to go hang out the shop, and he obviously he did nothing but foreign cars. And I said, yeah, I'm having this problem. I got to go find a motor. What's the matter? I cracked the block. It's in a water passage. He goes, I could weld. I'm like, you could weld a cast iron block? Yeah, I could do. Bring me the block. I weld it. And he did. I took it out of the car and, he used the high nickel rod and he gas welded it. But, I brought the car down and I guess he saw what I was doing and he kind of liked what I was doing and how I was doing it. So he offered me a job. He goes, listen, if you want to work, he goes, you could work for me. I could use you. And I said, Mike, you got nothing but foreign cars in here. Like metric tools weren't even like common yet. I mean, this is like 76.
Yeah.
So I said to him, I really don't know jack shit about these foreign cars. I don't have any tools to work on them. And he says to me, no, you come in, you use my tools. And this is what he said. He says, millimetrics, I have all. And I've repeated that over the years. I've said that, and people just look at me like, what? But I've never heard anybody else say millimetrics.
That's all my Spanish guys. I mean, that's their lingo, and they'll come out to the truck and they say, I need a millimetric set, and I always laugh at them. Millimetric. I
haven't heard that in 40 years. And he was like, I know he was Greek. Mike Marietis was his name. And
but it's all so. I joke. I had a guy today. He comes out. I had a 1/4-inch set. It had SAE and metric, and I told him, I said it's got the standard SAE and millimetric, and he goes, millimetric.
That's a hoot, man.
I like when you tell them standard because they say standard. Like 3/8, 1/2 inch, 9/16, 7/16, and they still look at you like. What are you talking about?
One of the younger guys, I recently had a talk with him. And I said, all right, I know you're not grasping the American standard for sockets and wrenches. It's kind of messed up. I get it. I said, but once you realize how it was set up, maybe it'll help you understand. I said, it's all based on 16ths. Everything is 16ths of an inch. They just call it eighths or quarters or halves. It's all a variation. But, the difference between the wrench sizes is a 16th of an inch. I said, metrics is nice because it follows a linear progression. I said, American makes you do a conversion in your head if you don't know what it is. I said, but if you can do that conversion, you'll see. It's just a 16th of an inch difference, which is almost as crazy as a millimeter difference.
Yeah.
Like, why? Why a millimeter difference? I still don't know why they made it so close. Why not at least 2 or 3? I don't know. I someday I'll get the answer to that. But, and then the guy says, well, how do you figure out 16ths? I said, oh boy. I said, do you know how many 16ths are in an inch? No, got to be a lot of them though, right? I was like, no, it's because the 16th is really small, so there's got to be a lot of them. I'm like, well, there's 16. Well, how do you 16? I'm like, yeah, 16 over 16. Didn't you learn that in math? Anything over itself equals 1. I'm like, dude, you got to go back to algebra, and people are totally lost with the conversion and forget about if you got to go to decimal.
Yeah.
It's like, woo, better get a calculator, so. Yeah, I don't know why. And then we won't even go to Whitworth or British Standard. That's
British. Yeah.
I've never really encountered that because I never owned a British car. I've worked on them, but I always made my regular tools fit.
Yeah.
Well,
it's all close because like you said, a 16th, a millimeter. It's all
Yeah.
And thank God for the internet because you can just stick a dime in between the wrench to make it fit. So you're okay.
I know, right? I know. That's funny. That's
a friend of mine worked on Jaguars when he was younger, and he said Jaguars have their own special tools.
Yeah.
The fittings are not SAE, not metric, not whatever. They're Jaguar.
Isn't that special?
Yeah. And he said that he had a locked section in his toolbox. You touch his Jaguar tools, he would break fingers.
Yeah.
Well, that's like I have a old Ford wrench from Model T, I guess. and in the manual it says A and B, and that wrench has A and B written on it, which is very similar to a 1/2 inch and 9/16,
Yeah,
but they use the alphabet. So
I've seen that. You know, I had a I don't remember what size it was. I had a snap-on socket that was dated. I dated it to 1932 by the logo. And it had, you know, they use that this little character after the size, and you can look it up on a chart. So my friend Gary's got a Model A, and his wife has a Model A stake truck that are both 32s. I gave him the socket. I said, you know what? You should have this. He goes, wow, well, this is cool. I'm like, yeah, it's the same year as your truck, as your car and your wife's truck. He goes, this is probably worth some money. I'm like, I don't know. It's old. It's, you know, it's not pristine. It was, you know, it's an artifact. I said, what could it be worth? Even with $10, $20, $30, you know what? It's better off that you have it and put it on your dashboard.
Yeah.
I don't need it. So I gave it to him.
Yeah.
And he was happy.
But I always thought that was funny because because like I said, the wrench, and of course you looked and it had an A on it and a B, and I was like, that's kind of weird. And it wasn't until later on when I came across a shop manual, and it would say, you know, wrench A.
Right.
I was like, oh, okay.
You know,
Kinda
speaking
crazy.
of that, I can't get to it now, but I have a factory service manual from when I had a Honda Accord. It was a 78 or a 79 Honda Accord. So I bought the FSM, and I tell you, the best diagrams I've ever seen. They'd show the exploded view of any subsystem or components, and they would label the bolt size and put the torque spec right there.
Oh, yeah.
So they labeled it, and I think it might have even had the head size too. So you knew what wrench to use, and you knew what it's like. Damn, this is, and I kind of got to expect that, and I haven't seen it again on any other.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, I got Grandpa's manual from 1940. Yeah, from 1940, and I love looking in there at the old cars that he worked on too, because told you how to build the shock tower or whatever you want to call it on a Hudson.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't have shock absorbers; it had a shock tower.
Those were probably the knee action shocks.
Yeah, something. Yeah,
right.
And damn it, I didn't get a hold of any of his tools because as soon as he died, the vultures came in.
Yeah.
And I don't think they wanted the book.
No.
Because I got the book, but man, I'd love to have had some of his tools.
Nobody ever
worked on Model A's, T's.
If you could see behind me, I have I'm encased in a 3-wall bookcase here that this is covering. It's nothing but books. And the thought about having to move it is like giving me highs. I'm like, how heavy these freaking books are.
Yeah, I know. I got so many. You know, when you were talking about the torque specs and size and everything, I have a I don't know who it's by, but it's a timing belt and timing chain replacement book for different cars.
Right.
And they have the same thing. They have they show the direction of the belt and the direction of the motor, and it shows all the components. And then it has a square breakdown, like on the tensioners and the bolt, and it tells you right there. It has the size of the bolt, what rent, everything's right there in that little picture.
Right.
With it. And like I said, I was like, man, this is awesome. It has all the information there.
One-stop shopping. I mean, for a technician, I mean, now everything is right there. That's nice.
That's why I had to buy the Volkswagen Idiot's Manual, because it said this is a standard screwdriver, this is a Phillips head, box in, etc., and even told you the sizes.
The only problem, the German stuff is really good. The only problem with the German stuff is they only write it down once. Mm-hmm. They only tell you one time. Yes. And you have to kind of, like, when you're going through, you might have to go back because, like I said, they don't repeat anything.
Right.
And it's written once, told to you once, and it's there once. And that's why a lot of people, I made the mistake. I threw when I got the updated book, from the dealership, when one of our updated service books, I took the old one and chucked it.
Ah,
And I didn't realize that they didn't repeat. They just carried on. You know, it was
yeah.
whatever was added or carried on. And I was like, well, where's the other information? And I was like, damn. And of
Yep.
course, now I can't find that. You can't find that book, you know, because like I said, everything like that and print wise. Now I have it in Microfiche. We had a lot of stuff in Microfiche, and I tried to get books when I could. They gave us we got all the fish for free.
Yeah.
The film.
But do you have a reader?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Where'd you score that from?
I bought one when I was at the dealer.
Oh, okay.
It's a small. It's like the size of this size of the laptop.
Okay.
It's nice. I still.
Would it be nice if there was a modern one? Yeah, right. A modern one that you could like take the image and print it, print a copy of whatever you were looking at.
Yeah, I
Transport
really.
book.
Yeah.
Libraries had that because you used to look at Microfiche and be able to print out a page. I
Yeah,
remember.
I wish I have, like I said, I have because 20 years when I was with Porsche, I've got 20 years of shop manuals on Microfiche, and I really wish I could recopy some of that stuff.
Oh, sure.
Because I won't lend it out. I have guys that'll ask me, and I said, well, I can give you the specs, or you can come over and read it. But dude, I'm not lending. I gave one guy a wiring diagram, and I never got it back.
Right.
And that's they look at it as like, oh, it's easy to get, and then this stuff isn't. So I had luckily on that particular wiring diagram book, the instructors gave me a couple of them when I was at I was really good friends with the instructors, so when I went to training, I always got a couple extras.
Right.
And
So you can never have too much information.
Yeah, sometimes. If you know how to use it, or at least look at it.
I can't tell you how I enjoy. I'll take a service manual and just sit down, or even a motor's manual, and just flip through it. And what you find in the beginning and the end pages. I mean, just the tables and charts of all the bolt specs and torques and thread sizes. It's amazing what's in there. There's so much stuff.
That's like when I sent you that lift book.
Oh yeah.
I can't tell you how many lifts. Now I've sold 3 or 4 lifts, over the time. I don't sell a lot of them because of the legal steps.
Right.
Because a lot of times the person's renting the building. He doesn't own the building, so you can't put, they can't put a lift in. It gets into a legal situation thing.
Uh-huh.
But I can't tell you that book that I got you was, I had sold the guy a lift, and the first thing he did was he took the book and threw it in the trash.
And I tell you, I just used it last Saturday.
And it's a great book, and never fails, because the guy goes, how do you lift the car on? I mean, where do you put, or they're bending up the car, they're bending or it's slipping around. I was like, well, what happened to that book? What book?
I tell you, I was setting up the Volvo, and I bend down, I look under, and usually we just grab the pinch welds, and that's usually where you grab it from. But this car doesn't have regular pinch welds like a Japanese car. They're boxed in. So I'm like, So I went, and I got that book in my cabinet where my motor's manuals are. I grabbed it. I looked it up. I'm like, okay, now I see. There's 2 rear suspension points, and there's 2 in the front, and no problem. And I'm like, again, just, having information is one thing. Remembering where to get it is another.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, I use that book.
But like I said, it's. I know it sometimes takes an extra 5 minutes, but it can save you a whole day of headaches.
I got a couple of kooky books too. I don't know if I.
You
put 'em
won't
all-
wind up on the internet with your cars over on the floor because you didn't put it on the lift right.
It's one of my favorite pictures where they show a guy, the new guy, and he put the lift arms under the wheel wells and lifted up the SUV. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I see those cars falling off the lifts and teetering. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Talk about scary.
Yep. I don't know, guys, but I got a transmission jack I gotta load up in the truck. I sold the transmission jack.
Oh, nice.
And then I gotta get ready to go through my credit cards.
Yeah. All right. So let's get the heck out of here. We'll go up and throw the garbage out. Isaac, what do we tell the people who are probably waiting for me outside tonight?
You can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. You can follow us on Spotify. But whatever you do, don't follow Ray home.
And we do have a Motor Mouth Radio Spotify account too. So you can, people will ask me about the music I play a lot of times. So we opened up a Spotify page and started putting all the music on there. So it's a pretty good playlist if you want to hear some eclectic stuff.
Yeah.
Also, please subscribe and share with your friends and family. Somebody out there likes to hear us talk. And click the notification bell.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, you got it all down. When do you go back to work, Isaac?
Next Tuesday.
Oh, Tuesday. Good.
Yeah, wife's been home. She's been off this week, and we've been, like I said, hitting the yard, raking the rocks. Me dodging rocks being thrown at me.
Yeah.
No, we had our fence got damaged a year or so ago, and we fixed it. We repaired it, but we had some fencing that we'd piled up, which is not good when you have snakes in the desert. So we've been cutting up that wood and just cleaning a bunch of stuff out, taking the time to work together and clean things out.
Good.
Snakes aren't too bad except for those ones that rattle.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going back to work on Tuesday. In fact, I'm not going back to work ever because now I'm having too much fun being retired. So, but I'm
You're
busy
actually
now.
finally retired, Ray?
Yes, but I'm busier now than when I was working. So go figure. But you know what? That's a good thing because I'm doing the stuff that I want to do when I want to do it. And it really is a good, and in the afternoon after I eat lunch and I'm watching TV, if I tend to drift off a little bit and take a nap for a half hour, so
what?
I'm a big believer in, like, if that's what your body wants to do, let it do it. Follow the natural flow. The
When
Europeans
you're young
have it
like
right.
Isaac's there, you don't nap as much. When you get old like me, you nap a lot.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the afternoon nap. I really am.
Yep.
Not for I can power nap it too. 20 minutes, half hour, fine. Then I'll do something else. So
Power nap.
yeah. All right, power grilled cheese sandwiches. Let's go up and see what's in the fridge. I got to go raid the ice box. I'm getting a little hungry after my taco. We had fish tacos tonight, so I think I should have had another one, but I didn't.
Oh, I made enchiladas
Sounds good.
tonight.
Nice.
Chicken
Okay.
enchiladas. And there was nobody home. See,
Wow, really?
squirrel. Just me,
Wow.
myself, and the dogs.
Wow. They left you alone, huh?
Yeah. So
That's too bad.
I know they missed it.
Yeah. All right. Well,
So I said, I don't know. I was like, man, I don't know what to cook. I said, you know what? I've had all this stuff here for these enchiladas, and I said, I'm just going to go ahead and make them. F them.
there you go. Well, they probably had something good wherever they were anyway, right?
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
So,
I know.
all right, guys, be safe.
Yeah, I
Take
gotta
care.
figure
All
out.
right, fellas.
I gotta
Well,
figure out what I'm gonna eat.
Yeah.
I got chorizo. I've got Chinese Mongolian beef that I made.
That's good.
I've got what else? Oh, I got a big slice of pizza waiting for me.
Nice.
I just got to figure out. I got a couple other things too. I just got to figure out which one I want. Maybe a little of all.
A little of all of them, right?
Just a sliver of everything.
So for Lewis Lee, who can't get a lock figured out these days, he's got lock problems. We'll try and keep him in touch. He sent me his Weber carburetors. I got to rebuild a Weber for him this week.
Oh yeah.
So that should be coming in tomorrow. And yeah, Ray Guarino, Motormouth Radio, Matco Man Brian. Hey, Matco Man on social media. Of course, Coach Isaac. And I'll see you on Sunday, and we'll see you here again next week.
Sounds good, Ray.
Yep.
All right. So
I'll
let's